Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is a story about what if Naruto finds his Zanpakuto in the Forest of Death Part 2. Before I start, please support for more amazing content and do consider subscribing to my channel and share this video with your friends. This is written by Champas and link in the description and support rider. Let's start the video. Naruto sits quietly as Hiruzen smokes his pipe after the Sandaime dismisses his team and hearing their report of the mission to Nami. So you used the Kyuubi's power. Did you use it subconsciously or consciously? Hiruzen asks. Naruto opens his eyes and thumbs his scar, a mixture of both. When Gaten threatened to sell Hinata's eyes to Kumo and violate her. Something snapped, but I was aware as I cut down those bandits, he explains. Hiruzen blows a puff of smoke with a sigh. Your first kill is something all ninja go through. It can't be avoided, but the takeaway is not enjoy it. To do so is to be a shameless murderer, he states, and Naruto slowly nods. What will I tell Hinata? She has a right to know. I would like permission to her about status, Naruto states. Naruto-kun, the law I made was done to keep the younger generation ignorant of things, Hiruzen says, but Naruto scoffs. Not that it did any good. Every adult knows that I am Jinchuriki and everyone above Chunin is privy as well. Even with the law I was treated as less than human, Naruto says and rises to his feet. If you'll excuse me, Hikage-sama, Naruto says and heads for the door. Naruto-kun, 1 second. One of my students has returned to Konoha and wishes to meet you. She'll meet you at the burning kunai at 7 tonight, Hiruzen says and Naruto nods, closing the door. The kid's hard to read, Jiraiya says, dropping his transparency jutsu. Hiruzen relights his pipe. Yes, he is. He managed to fool me all these years, he says and glances to Jiraiya. When will you meet him, Hiruzen asks and Jiraiya turns to the window. The Chunin exams. My network is reporting movement from Orochimaru and the Akatsuki. Both who are a threat to him, Jiraiya states. What about the seal, Hiruzen says and Jiraiya rubs his eyes. Kakashi said it loosened but not broken. I have the key. If he loses control, have Tenzo restrain him and use the Gajimfukin on him, Jiraiya says and heads out the window. Hiruzen sighs once again and takes a drag off his pipe, but his eyes narrow at the stack of papers. You will not defeat me, fiend, Hiruzen says and his hidden Anbu sweat drop. Naruto makes his way through the village, but he could sense someone sloppily following him. Took me 5 seconds, he muses. A puff of smoke erupts behind him, but coughing echoes within the smoke cloud. Too much smoke, a little girl's voice echoes. Naruto rubs his forehead and pockets his hands as the cloud disperses, revealing 3 10-year-old children. The first is boy with short spiky brown hair and blue eyes, dressed in a gray shorts and a yellow shirt with a red Konoha symbol printed on it. He also has a long blue scarf and green goggles on his head. Konohamaru Sarutobi is here, he shouts. Mogi Kazamatsuri. Sassy Kunoichi in training, the second shouts. She has orange hair tied up with red elastics into 2 very large pigtails and a perpetual blush with googles. Her outfit consists of a red tank top over a pink shirt layered at the bottom. Her pants are gray and traditional ninja sandals. I'm nice and I like math, the third says. He has short brown hair and dark eyes with circular glasses. His outfit is a simple blue shirt which is zipped up the middle, a pair of brown pants, sandals and a pair of goggles. And we are the Konohamaru Corporation, they shout in unison. Naruto tilts his head and holds up 4 fingers. Better, but you keep at it, he says. Hama Naruto Naichin. Give us more praise, Konohamaru shouts, but Naruto flicks his forehead. Then don't let me sense you, Naruto says. Where have you been, Narini Miyogi asks, and Naruto ruffles his blonde hair. I was on a mission to Wave Country. I got back today, Naruto says but cups his chin. Aren't you supposed to be in the academy, he adds. We had an early day, but Ebisu-sensei is training us, Konohamaru replies. Naruto closes his left eye and glances behind them. Then you better go. Cause here he comes, he says, and the 3 quickly rush off. Brash little Gakkus, Kurama comments. Naruto mentally nods and turns on his heels before leaping off towards Anko's apartment. He arrives home and opens the door to find Anko on the sofa with Kurashiro asleep as well. She was wearing some short shorts with thigh-high purple socks and a tight shirt with their pupper next to her. You know you want to, Kurama says, and Naruto rolls his neck with a quiet groan. He slips off his boots and heads to his room, dropping off his gear and stripping off his clothes. He returns to the living room in a pair of cargo shorts and a white undershirt but spies their pupper awake. SHH, Naruto whispers, kneeling to pet the pupper. Kurashiro happily licks his hand with some mini bites and growls. I get beat out by a dog and greeting my man, Anko says, yawning and sitting up. Naruto shakes his head and makes his way to the sofa, taking a seat and Anko capturing his lips. When did you get back, Anko asks. Naruto helps Kurashiro on the sofa. Today. It was a good mission. Tenten didn't tell you, he says and Anko giggles, shaking her head. The tails, Anko says and rubs Kurashiro's head. It got upgraded to a rank because of the Demon Brothers and Zabuza Mamachi. I killed the brothers and collected the bounties. I also took their poison gauntlets. I gave them to Tenten. Naruto starts. I'm surprised Kakashi continued the mission, Anko says, and Naruto slowly nods. He asked us too if we wanted to continue. Team naturally said yes and we did too, but wished to get back up and got Team Guy. We then encountered Zabuza Mamachi. Kakashi-sensei fought him but underestimated him and got captured in a water prison. Naruto continues and Anko laughs. I stepped in and gained some experience against the demon of mist, forcing him to retreat. We had some downtime and fought him again and he brought his comrade, a guy named Haku. He has the Haimten Kekkei Genkai. However, a turd named Gaten tried to kill us, but I used Kurama's chakra and killed them. This actually garnered me Zabuza's respect. Naruto finishes, but raises a single finger. Oh, I sparred with Team and knocked him out, Naruto adds, and Anko laughs louder. I bet that'll piss him off, Anko says, and Naruto nods, getting up off the sofa. Naruto grabs a bottle of water, no doubt, but also the old man told me that Tsunade Senju wants to me, he says. I heard from Ikeni she was back in the village, but why does she want to meet you, Anko asks, but Naruto shrugs. Anko then pats her lap, here Anshin's luscious thighs and lap for you to rest your head, she says. Naruto sighs and rests his head in Anko's lap as his free hand scratches Kuroshiro's head. Anko starts to stroke Naruto's scarred cheek, welcome home Narukin, she says, and Naruto softly smiles. I'm home, Naruto says, drifting off to sleep for a bit. Burning kunai. Tsunade sighs as she downs a cup of sake. Next to her is her official student, but unofficially her daughter Shizune. Shizune is a fair-skinned woman of average height and slender build with onyx eyes and jet black hair. Her hair is straight and shoulder-length with bangs that cover her ears and frame her face. She wears a long bluish-black kimono with white trimmings, closed by a wide obi, and a sandals with low heels. In her lap is a small pig wearing a red vest and pearls, beauty it says. I know Taunton, but he should arrive soon, Shizune says, but glances to Tsunade. The blonde downs her 9th cup of sake with a sigh, but looks up and her eyes narrow, seeing her fellow blonde. Naruto wasn't alone and has Anko with him, Tsunade Senju, he asks. The one and only. Sit, Tsunade says, and the pair obliges. This is my student Shizune, she adds, and Shizune bows her head. And this Taunton. She is not food, Shizune adds, and Taunton oinks. Naruto blinks a few times but ruffles his hair, okay. So why do you wish to meet me, he asks, and Tsunade pushes a sake cup towards him. Sensei wants me to become Godame, but I believe it's a waste. The position of Hokage is cursed. My grandfather. Granduncle. The Yondaime. All died, even my Dan and little brother died because of their aspirations of being Hokage. Tsunade starts. Naruto picks up the cup and down the drink. I used to tell Gigi I wanted to be Hokage. So people would acknowledge me, he says but frowns, touching his scar. How did you get that scar, Shizune asks, and Anko scowls. Naruto sighs with a distant look in his eye. I was 9, and this Junin named Seino broke into my apartment with a few others. He used a superheated kunai to carve this scar into my face. Proclaiming he would avenge his family and the like, he says. Anbu managed to stop them. Seino was executed and the others were sent to jail, but released. Anko finishes, downing some sake. Shizune's eyes were wide, but Swan's were narrowed. I can guess why you were targeted. So I wish to be Hokage, Tsunade says, pulling some playing cards from her kimono. I don't want to be Hokage to have villagers and ninja acknowledge me. No, I'll become something that they can't ignore. I will break this notion of village before everything, Naruto says and looks Tsunade in the eye. So what's the real reason you wish to see me, Naruto says, picking up the cards. Tsunade tosses 2 cards and picks up 2 more. I've been out of the village for close to 20 years, but I still heard about the Kikbi attack. I heard a child was named after a relative of mine. Kushina Uzumaki, she states. Naruto remains silent, his eyes downcast, and he says, and Tsunade frowns. I asked Sensei if this child was Kushina's child, but he told me that that child died. However, that child didn't die. In fact, he's sitting right in front of me, Tsunade says, but Naruto remains silent. Shishu. Why would the Sandaime lie about such a thing, Shizune asks, but Tsunade chuckles and points to Naruto. He told you. The needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few. At the academy we're taught that the village comes first. Above friends. Lovers. Wives. Husbands and even your children. The Yondaime put the village before a single child. More than likely wanting him seen as the hero he is, but the village didn't, Tsunade replies. No, they chose to ignore. Shun. Beat. Tried to kill me for something I never asked for, Naruto comments, showing his full house. Tsunade gawks and grumbles with several curses under her breath. Not bad, Gaki, she says and sighs. I guess I can keep the seat warm for you, Tsunade muses, and Naruto arches an eyebrow, but she scoffs. But be grateful, Gaki. You are some of the last members of my family. I owe it to Kushina to look after you, Tsunade says, and rises from her seat. I look forward to what you do, Naruto Uzumaki, Tsunade adds, leaving with Shizune and Taunton. The Hokage incumbent pinches her nose. The village has done a number on him, she muses. His eyes are filled with many emotions, but he keeps them subdued, Shizune comments. They soon reach the Senju compound, and the blonde activates the seal. You can drop your hinged, Tsunade states. Shizune sighs and releases her chakra, her black hair gains streaks of pale blue, and her right eye becomes a dark green, with a blue rhombus on her forehead. When can I go without my henge mother, Shizune says, putting Taunton down. Tsunade folds her arms under her 106 cm. Once those vultures are dealt with, she says, as they head inside. Well, now you'll have someone who has your interests in mind, Anko comments. Naruto squeezes Anko's hand with a slow nod, seems so, but time will tell, he says. She seems genuine. The Sandaime lied about you, but I think if she knew, your life would different, Anko comments. Naruto pulls her hand to his mouth for a kiss. If she did, I wouldn't have met you, he says, and Anko blushes. You're so dead, Anko says, quickly heading to their apartment. A heavy makeout session ensued with Anko giving Naruto a handjob, and he reciprocated, but that led to another heavier session in the shower. The next day came too soon for both, as Anko had an early day at tea, but Naruto was on a week-long break from missions. You need to make chiknin. Anshin wants to feel Naruchin inside her, Anko says, sitting on the bed in her uniform. Naruto turns on his side with a groan. Tell me about, but more than likely Kakashi will have us in the upcoming one in a few months, he says. No kidding. It's here. The people want to see their prince show off, Anko says, slipping on her gloves, and Naruto chuckles. Anko gets off the bed and leans down to kiss on the forehead. Come by the office and bring Kurashiro, she says, and he nods. Naruto turns on his back with a sigh as Kurashiro whines for scritches, and he obliges. Eventually Naruto drags himself from the pupper to fix them some breakfast of eggs, toast, jam and sausage links for them both. Naruto soon gets dressed in some black running tights, white cargo shorts, running shoes and a white long-sleeve shirt with the whirlpool symbol on the back. Ready to go, Naruto asks, slipping his trusty gamachin into pockets, and Kurashiro barks. The pair make their way through the village to the shop, and the pupper decides to wait outside to scam scritches from people. Tenten was sitting at the counter as Naruto enters. Hey Naruto, she says. Hey Panda. Have you tried out the gauntlets, Naruto asks, but Tenten shakes her head. Ads once, then thoroughly cleaned before he has them fitted for me, Tenten says. Naruto pulls Zetsue out of her seal and places her on the counter, before leans on the counter. Think you can add a ribbon to her hilt and change to guard to round whirlpool, Naruto asks. Tenten picks up Zetsue and pulls her partially from the sheath. Sure, but you sure that works, she replies. She's a physical sword even if I use my power, Naruto says. Alright, I can have it done by tomorrow, Tenten says, and Naruto smiles, patting the counters. Where's Kurashiro, Tenten asks, and Naruto points outside, causing her to giggle. The pair exit the store, and Naruto found his pupper laying on her back in the path of people. Clever girl, Naruto thought. No more lazing about, Kurashio. Time to work off your food, Naruto says, and Kurashiro whines, but rolls over to trot up to him. Tenten squats to give her pets, and the puppy microbites her hand. You guys spoil her, she says. She's too cute not to, Naruto says. He picks her up with a kiss to Tenten's cheek and leaps off towards an unoccupied training ground. This should be good, Naruto thought, letting Kurashiro down. Naruto unseals a ball from a seal on his forearm. Why do you keep something like that, Kurama comments. Why not? Kurashiro is my pupper just as much as Anko, Naruto muses, tossing the ball up and down. Kurashio sees the ball and starts to jump up as Naruto smiles, tossing the ball, and Kurashiro runs after it. This proceeds for another 20 minutes, but a pink hair menace arrives. What are you doing, Narabaka, Sakura screeches. G's forehead. He's obviously playing with his dog, Ino comments. Naruto tosses the ball and turns to the pair. That's right. Kurashiro needs some exercise. So here we are, he says. You dog, Ino says, as Kurashiro runs up with the ball. Naruto squats down to take the ball and give her scritches. She's a Shiba Inu, he says. So how's your training been going, Naruto adds, tossing the ball. Ino scoffs with a scowl. It's horrible. I hate getting sweaty, and Shika told me to stop dieting. I need to keep my figure for Sasuke-kun, she says. Sasuke doesn't want you in a pig, Sakura shouts, and Naruto sweat drops. Dieting would be detrimental for you. Your stamina could give out and endanger a mission, Naruto states, but both girls scoffs. Besides, I don't think team wants a weak girl, Naruto adds, but shakes his head as both were ignoring his advice. Don't call Sasuke-kun that, Sakura screeches. Naruto takes the ball from Kurashiro and seals it away. I will when he doesn't call me dope. Now if you excuse me. I need to get in a run, he says, and takes off in a light jog with Kurashiro in tow. But you are, Sakura shouts. Ino watches Naruto's retreating form. When did Naruto look cute, she thought. Forget about him. He's only dragging Sasuke-kun down, Sakura comments. Naruto isn't wrong, a voice says, and Asuma drops down. What do you mean, sensei, Ino asks, and Asuma blows a stream of smoke. Naruto is stronger than he lets on. TAM7's last mission was upgraded from crank to a rank. Naruto even fought in a rank Missingnin to a standstill, Asuma explains, shocking both girls, but Sakura snaps. No way Narabaka did that. I bet Sasuke-kun fought that Missingnin, Sakura comments, and Asuma sighs. Believe what you want, Haruno, but Naruto is right about the dieting. Being a kunoichi will burn the calories you ingest before they affect you. Look at Hinata Hyuga. Does she diet or worry about looks? No, she trains and grows stronger each day. Even Own-sensei Sakura doesn't diet or let her looks affect her growing stronger. Your need to impress the Uchiha or keep your looks is a dishonor to the kunoichi that came before you, Asuma says, and walks past them, leaving the two girls to ingest what he said, but went in one ear and out the other for one of them. Hyuga compound. Hinata could feel his eyes on her, criticizing and scrutinizing her every move as she does her katas. Once he loved her and cared for her, but that changed when the head ninja of Kumo kidnapped her and her father killed said man. The Raikage of Kumo called for her father's head, and her uncle sacrificed his life for his beloved brother. However, her cousin did not see it that way, simply the main house using their power over the branch family. Hinata stops mid-strike as her younger sister Hanabi steps inside the dojo. Nisama. A boy with a scar and dog are here to see you, Hanabi says. She has dark brown hair and pale white eyes, dressed in a sleeveless blue neck shirt with mesh armor underneath blue shorts and sandals. Naruto-kun is here. Did the guards let him in, Hinata asks, but Hanabi shakes her head. Hinata sighs and grabs a towel to wipe her forehead. I'll meet him at the gate, she says. Why are associating with a clanless failure, Niji interjects. He is young man with long black hair and the signature by Akugin. He wears a white kimono shirt with long, loose sleeves, matching pants, a navigri apron tied around his waist, and black shinobi sandals with his hide, under which was a smaller headband with two straps that frame the sides of his face. He is my teammate Nijinayasan and my friend. Even your teammate's friend, Hinata says, following Hanabi. The sisters reach the gates of the compound and Naruto was waiting with a beautiful dog. Hello, Naruto-kun. What brings you here, she says. I was doing some jogging and taking Kurashiro for some walkies, Naruto says, and Kurashiro barks, approaching the sisters. Careful, she's spoiled, Naruto says. Hanabi squats to rub Kurashiro's head and the pupper quickly flops to show her belly for tummy rubs. See. So what do you plan for a week off, Naruto asks. Father told me that Tsunade Senju has returned to the village. I may introduce myself to her and see if she's willing to impart some of her knowledge or do some training with Kurane-sensei, Hinata states. If you need my help. Don't hesitate to ask, Naruto says, and Hinata nods, with a soft smile. Is this your dog, Naruto-san, Hanabi says, and Naruto tilts his head. I share her with someone close to me, Naruto says. Kurashiro trots up to Naruto, but runs past him towards some shrubbery. What about you, Naruto-kun, Hinata asks, and Naruto ruffles his hair. I'll ask Kakashi-sensei if I can do some dranks in the village for some extra cash and train with Anko or Tenten, he says, as Kurashiro makes her way back. Speaking of Anko. I should get going to see her. See ya, Hinata. Hanabi, Naruto adds and jogs off with Kurashiro. Nisama, is he the boy you like, Hanabi say, and Hinata eeps, poking her fingers with a blush. Yes. Yes, he is, and I will get stronger to stand next to him. Instead of behind him, Hinata says, as they head back inside. Konohagakure Intelligence Division. Naruto and Kurashiro enter the imposing building as several staring at him. I'm looking for Anko Mitarashi, he asks. Who, asking, a deep voice says. Naruto turns as Kurashiro hides behind him as a tall man with several scars on his face. He wears a gray suit with a black belt and shinobi sandals with a black trench coat and gloves. Naruto Uzumaki, and you are Sir, Naruto asks. Ajinch Kriki, the man thought, and extends his hand. Ibiki Marino and Anko's boss, he adds. Naruto shakes Ibiki's hand, but the older grips the younger's hand. So you're Anko's secret. Interesting, Ibiki says, releasing Naruto's hand. And you brought the princess. Follow me. Anko finishing up a meeting, Ibiki says, and Naruto follows with Kurashiro. You're used to pain, Ibiki comments, and Naruto slowly nods. I was one to interrogate Seino Mikamori. He showed no remorse about what he did, he adds. Naruto touches his scar with a sigh. Most don't take my safety into account, he says. Ibiki makes no rebuttal as they reaches a glass window. Inside were Anko, and one more that made Naruto narrows his eyes. Mizuki, your former instructor and traitor. He confessed to attempting to get you to steal the sacred scroll and working for Orochimaru, but he's a low-level minion, Ibiki states. If he's a traitor. Why is he still alive, Naruto asks. Ibiki cups his chin with a glance to the blonde. Hikage-sama can be a bit soft when dealing with things concerning Orochimaru, he states. Anko abruptly stands and slams her fist on the desk with some animated shouting, but storms out. Kurashiro quickly runs up to Anko as Naruto approaches. Thanks for bringing her. Sometimes I need some good vibes, she says. So when's the big day, Ibiki says, and both clip their eyes to him. When Hime Nin both said in unison and Ibiki laughs. I see. Has Mizuki said anything else? Ibiki states. Anko rises to her full height with a glare, nothing, but the guard saw him talking to the stupid brothers. If those two get riled up she says and Naruto furrows his brow. Jin and Raijin. Both killed their teammates for food and were sent to the Konoha strict correctional facility, but their strength rivals Tsunade-sama and are notorious for breaking out for food. Ibiki explains. If that is the case. He could be planning a breakout and use them to perpetuate it. Naruto comments in Anko box. Hahaha. You are indeed nothing like your academy file. Anko take him inside. I'll cover for you Ibiki says, shocking both. You sure Ibiki? Naruto is a genin Anko says and Ibiki waves his hand. He has caught my interest Ibiki says and picks up Kurashiro. I'll keep the princess he adds and Kurashiro barks. Anko shakes her head and opens the door, causing Mizuki to look, but his eyes narrow seeing Naruto. Demon brat Mizuki hisses, but Naruto wags his finger. Careful Mizuki-sensei. Keep saying that and you'll be killed Naruto says. Baki's right. The Sandame's law is still in effect. Now you were brought here because the guard saw you in the company of the stupid brothers. So what are you planning Anko states. I told you it was nothing Mizuki says, but screams as Naruto bending his right index finger back with a snap. Naruto moves his face inches from Mizuki's face, you have 9 more. Each wrong answer. Another one breaks he says, his tone devoid of emotion. You demon. Ah Mizuki shouts and his right middle finger snaps. Naruto grabs Mizuki's right wrist, let's try this he says, crushing the wrist. Ah. Fine. I'll talk I was gonna use those idiots to cause a riot and escape Mizuki cries, his right hanging limply. Geez Anko says. Naruto sniffs the air and makes a face, he pissed himself he says, stepping out and followed by Anko. Narakin that was amazing. Anshin likes Anko says. Ibiki approaches without Kurashiro, he asks, and both nod, I'll inform Hikage-sama and have him transferred to Mizuki Castle he says. Where's Kurashiro Naruto asks. Probably in my office. Come on Anko says and pulls Naruto along as Ibiki goes to see Mizuki. The head of T whistles seeing the broken wrist of Mizuki, I could use a kid like him he thought. Anko closes her office door and Kurashiro was on her pillow recharging her puppy batteries. Nice going breaking his wrist Anko says, slipping off her coat. Naruto took a seat at her desk, lucky it wasn't his neck. Back in the day that was something to have fun with he muses. Anko rounds the table and sits in her chair with a sigh, you gotta teach me some of your old secrets she muses and Naruto smiles. I wish I could. You would be a great Sauriper Naruto muses. You know there is a way to make her one Zetsue comments, but Naruto mentally sighs. True but that is for a desperate situation Naruto thought. What are you gonna do for your week off of missions Anko asks and Naruto props his left leg on his right knee. Stick to training. Hinata is gonna training with TAM8 and introduce herself to Tsunade-sama. I might ask Kakashi-sensei for some Futana Raiten Jutsu. I can also attempt to use Kicks Chakra more as well or some solo dranks or spar with Tenten he says. Since the Nami mission got bumped up. The Uchiha will want higher missions Anko comments. Naruto pulls a scroll from his shorts and unseals a pair of bento boxes, causing Anko to giggles. Always my Narakin feeding Anshin it's so beautiful Anko says, taking her box. Kurashiro starts to stir at the smell of food and makes her way to Naruto, spoiled he muses, picking her up and sitting her in his lap. Lame the people who see her Anko muses. Naruto feeds Kurashiro a bit of meat as he chuckles, tell me about it. She laid on her back in the middle of the street for belly rubs he muses, rubbing her head. Anko gives Kurashiro a look, but the pupper fires back with the puppy eyes no jutsu, chi little mink she says. Now girls no fighting Naruto chides and Anko chuckles, pointing to Kurashiro. Blame her Anko says, and Kurashiro barks, as if to say I'm queen. 2 weeks later. After their respective downtime TAM7 began missions once again, but of the drank variety. This raised the ire of a certain Uchiha, mainly to test his reawakened Sharingan, but Kakashi wanted to focus on teamwork. However the missions of dog walking, painting fences, babysitting caused their fragile teamwork to deteriorate more. However this was from the Uchiha side of things as Naruto and Hinata's teamwork was near flawless, making Sasuke in essence a third wheel. Sasuke often asks or demands things of Hinata, but mainly Naruto. However Kakashi would step in and mediate and often chide Sasuke for his actions, but it didn't deter the last loyal Uchiha. Currently the team were in the mission hall for the first high rank mission since Nami. This is Shibuki. You will be escorting him home to Tokigaku. One of our allies here is in states. Shibuki is a young man with ink black eyes and long dark brown hair with a Taki Hide on his forehead. He wears gray pants, a green shirt and shinobi sandals with gray shoulder pad on his left shoulder with a brown strap over. Thank you for helping me Shibuki states and Kakashi eye smiles. Not a problem. We'll meet at the main gate in 30 minutes, Kakashi states, and the team nods. Naruto quickly heads home and packs his supplies, dressing himself in Anbu cargos, combat boots, a sleeveless form-fitting shirt and black gloves. Completing the outfit with a high-collar double-dot-ED jacket with no sleeves that stopped past his hips. Naruto leaves a note for Anko and makes his way to the gate, meeting Hinata halfway and Sasuke soon after, but the Uchiha barely acknowledges their presence. Kakashi and Shibuki soon arrive, and the group takes off at light genin speed. Ah, Shibuki shouts, hiding behind Hinata as a bird flies out of the trees. Naruto sighs and rubs his head with a sweat drop. What a coward, Kurama notes. The group continues on until they reach a very large waterfall. We're here. Takigakure no Sato, Kakashi comments. A beautiful waterfall, Hinata comments. They're round the lake the waterfall dumps into, but spy crash in the water as a pair of children approach. Shibuka-sama, both shout. Shibuki waves his hand as the children approach. Sorry, I can't play with you now, he says. We know. Mama sent us to clean up the trash, the girl says. Shibuki cups his chin and glances back to TAM7, perhaps TC's generous Konoha shinobi will help us. I'm willing to pay for the extra mission, of course, he says. I take it back, devious coward, Kurama says, and Naruto chuckles mentally. Alright, my kawaii genin. This can be a training exercise, Kakashi says. Naruto rolls his shoulder and walks onto the water. I'll start over there, he says, and runs towards the waterfall. Boy. Don't just wander around, Shibuki shouts, but Kakashi pats him on the shoulder. It'll be fine. Naruto can take care of himself, Kakashi and Sasuke TSKS, walking on the water. Hinata slips off her sandals and treads to the water, cold, she whispers, as the children holds bags for them. In the trees near the waterfall, a young girl watches with suspicious orange eyes. Outsider, she thought. She has darkly tanned skin with an orange clip in her short layered mint green hair. Her uniform is a short sleeveless white midriff shirt with fishnet armor underneath, long wide armlets, and fishnet shorts with a short wide apron skirt over it. Careful, FK-chan. One of them is very dangerous and like you, a voice says, and FK gasps. Like me, FK says. Seems Inch-Kriki can sense one another, a voice says. FK whips around and back jumps to another tree as Naruto stood on the branch. Whoa, are you, she says. Naruto extends his hand. Naruto Uzumaki and Jinchuriki of Kurama, he says. Kurama FK questions and furrows her brow, weary of Naruto's presence. Kurama is my older sister and fellow Bijk. If he knows her real name. He must be lucky, Chmei says. Have her bump fists with you, Kurama says, and Naruto leaps closer, causing FK to back up. Easy bump fist with me. It'll help, Naruto says. FK stares at Naruto's blue eyes and to the scar on his right cheek, but slowly bumps fists with him. Hello, I'm lucky number 7, Chmei declares. It's been a very long time, Chmei. How are things with your container, Kurama asks. Chmei sighs with a flap of his wings. She is a good child, but the village does not allow her to live within its borders, but that Shibuki boy is nice to her, he explains. My container is no different, but he has a strong will to crush their hate, Kurama says. Naruto and FK separate their fists as the latter blushes, but smiles. I'm FK. Want to be my friend, she says. Sure. We Jinchuriki should stick together. Do you want to help us clean up the lake, Naruto says, but FK was weary. Okay, sure, FK says and follows Naruto back to the lake, catching Shibuki's attention. FK, Shibuki says, and FK bows, but notices the children were looking away from her. Where have you been, Dobe, Sasuke says, but Naruto ignores him, looking for Kakashi. Where's Kakashi-sensei, Naruto asks. The messenger Hawk informed him of a Junin meeting. Once we finish with the lake. We should return home, Hinata explains, and Naruto slowly nods. How are you, FK, Shibuki interjects. I'm alright, Shibuka-sama, and I made friends with Naruto, FK says, and Shibuki glances to Naruto. Thank you, but if your team is finished. You can leave, Shibuki says. I take it you want us to not see the entrance of Takigakure, Naruto comments, but Shibuki doesn't answer. We're allies, Naruto-kun, Hinata says. Shibuki clenches his fist. That may be true, but how do I know you won't betray my village, he says. Chan. Who would betray a weak village like yours, Sasuke says, and Naruto facepalms. Putting aside team. We understand your concern, Naruto says and bows, though it was short. It was nice meeting you and FK, he adds. Same here, Naruto, FK says, but suddenly an injured woman appears, causing the children to run towards her. Shibuka-sama. Enemy attack, the woman says, collapsing with a 2 kunai in her back. Shibuki and the children rush to her, followed by Hinata and Naruto. Hinata quickly checks the woman and sighs, the wounds aren't deep. Thanks to Tsunade-sama, I can dress them, she says. We should head home, the boy says, but Naruto shakes his head. Your mom said enemy attack, Naruto says. That impossible. How could they enter the village, Shibuki says. Naruto ruffles his hair and quickly creates a dozen clones. We can think about that later. Hinata finish healing their mom. My clones with guard you. FK, is there another way into the village other than the main entrance, he says. FK glances to Shibuki, but back to Naruto, yes. I use it gather supplies, she says, and Naruto nods. Alright, FK, and I will take that entrance. Sasuke, go with Shibuki and protect him, Naruto states. HN. Who put you in charge, Dobe, Sasuke says, but Naruto grabs his shirt. We don't time to argue, team. People are in danger, Naruto says, pushing Sasuke back. What can you three do? Dear Genin, Shibuki says. Suddenly 4 shinobi burst from the water, but one stand out. He is a muscular tall-looking man with chin-length gray hair which is spiked at the top. He wears black sleeveless shirt, gray pants, ninja sandals, and brown color arm warmers. He's mine, the leader shouts, as there fire numerous kunai. Sasuke acts quickly with a Fuma shuriken into a shadow windmill, deflecting the kunai and cutting down 3 of the shinobi. The leader lands on a rock and launches back through the waterfall. Cheap bastards, he thought. Gee, I missed one, Sasuke says, stepping back on land. Naruto slips off his left glove and pulls Zetsue out of her seal, her hilt now black and purple with a purple ribbon hanging off the tip. This upgrades our mission. Shibuka-sama. We'll accompany you to the end, Naruto says. Shibuki was trembling on the ground, but FK helps him to his feet. Right, I understand, he says and glances to FK. Be careful, Shibuki says, and FK nods. Sasuke and Shibuki take off to the entrance, while Naruto and FK head for the secret entrance. The clones help the children and their mother to the tree line as Hinata starts to dress the woman's wound, also adding a barrier to erase their presence. This entrance is similar to the main entrance, but the water is much colder and takes much longer, FK says. Naruto squats down and secures Zetsue to his back, not a problem for Jinchuriki, he muses. Are you strong, Naruto, FK says, and Naruto gives her thumbs up. Strong enough, FK. Let's go, Naruto says, and both jump into the pool. Both quickly rush through the tunnel of water, but Naruto's eyes narrow. Damn it, team, but you did put up a fight, he thought. They soon reach the surface and Naruto peeks his head above water, seeing 3 people and a bound Sasuke with numerous villagers. The first is a young, quite tall, and slim kunoichi with fair skin, short light brown unkempt spiky hair, azure blue earrings, red lipstick, pupilless black irises, short thin light brown eyebrows, and wears a white hairband over her head. She wears a pink tube top that has a dark red linen, along with an open, light blue shirt, navy blue pants and ninja sandals. He's the one from the waterfall, Naruto thought. The last was obviously the leader of the group, that Suian. He taught Shibuka-sama, FK whispers. Suian has long spiky hair, small dark eyes, and a goatee. He wears a dark blue jacket, gray pants, sandals, and a bandana. Naruto and FK dive back under the water to move closer. What is their aim? But it does explains how they entered the village, he thought, and waved to FK. Can you read lips? Naruto mouths and FK nods. Find Shibuki, he adds, and FK nods, swimming off. Naruto swims towards the shore, but several kunai pierce the water and forcing him to leap out. So another rat, Suian says, with a chuckle. Naruto scans the area but sees Sasuke hanging from a red arch with his arms bound. What is your purpose for attacking this village? Naruto shouts. A 4th man drops down next to Suian with his tiny black irises, filled with sadistic glee. He has messy chin-length brown hair coming out from under his forehead protector, part of it covering his left eye. He wears a black skin-tight suit underneath all of his clothing, which also covers his mouth and nose. A gray scarf around his neck, a white shirt over his black suit, a blue-colored strap suit that acts as his pants and a shirt over his gray one. My purpose is not this pathetic village. I want the hero water, and the Jinchuriki, Suian declares and takes a breath. Shibuki. I know you can hear me. Bring me the hero water and Nanabi or their lives are forfeit, Suian shouts. Scum, Naruto hisses. The lone female of the group licks lips. You look cute, boy. Even with the scars. Surrender and I'll let you be my pet. Right, Suian-sama, she says. Do whatever you want, Hisam. Murasame. Kirasame, restrain him, Suian orders. Murasame and Kirasame quickly launch themselves at Naruto, flinging the water whips and ensnare his arms. Suian grabs a little girl and points a kunai at her throat. Shibuki, come out or his girdled eyes, he roars. That's enough, Suian, Shibuki shouts, appearing with FK and the hero water. Looks like you've gained some courage, Naruto shouts, and S is right. Murasame is yanked forward but releases the whip, however Kirasame was careening right into him. Boy, team, Naruto shouts, firing a kunai to free him. Free the villagers, Naruto adds. Suian and his remaining forces rush Shibuki and FK as Murasame and Kirasame recover. You little bastard, Kirasame shouts. Hisam shoots towards Sasuke, but the Uchiha meets her with a kunai. You're cuter than Blondie, she sneers. Naruto closes the gap between him and Kirasame, connecting with a left straight to his face and sending him to the watery depths with a broken nose and some of the fragments piercing his brain. Murasame catches Naruto's left arm with his cord and yanks, but Naruto doesn't budge. Adam.11. Suzuri Raiden Naruto thought and Murasame screams, being electrified. This stops Hisame and gives Sasuke the means to slit her throat with his kunai, spraying blood and frightening the villagers. How can the dobe manipulate his chakra like that, Sasuke thought. Murasame collapses as smoke rises from his body and Naruto yanks the cord from his arm. FK and Shibuki are holding their own, but what is this hero water, Naruto thought. Music, stand up, be strong, Bleach asked. Suiton Suriken no Jutsu, Shibuki declares, firing a water dragon and engulfing several of Suiton's men. FK was holding her own with her webbing and superior strength, but her breath hitches. Shibuka-sama, look out, she shouts. Suiton appears behind and slashes his back with a water sword, still the same Shibuki, he sneers, picking up the jug of water. Stop, Suiton, Shibuki says, but Suiton stomps on his back. Suiton drinks several gulps of the water, but the jug vanishes, what, he shouts. Sorry, but this is not yours, Naruto says, landing next to FK. Naruto tosses the bottle to her, keep this safe. I'll handle this and save Shibuki, he says. Suiton laughs loudly as blue chakra engulfs his body. You think you can defeat me, Kozo, he shouts, but his breath hitches and his eyes bulge as Naruto roundhouse kicks him towards the tree. Naruto unbuttons his jacket and drapes it on Shibuki. Don't worry, Shibuki. I got this, he says and launches forward. Suiton pulls himself from tree and leaps to the higher branches, but Naruto meets him there. You are stronger with the hero water, it seems, but it doesn't compare to Zabuza, he says. Suiton grits his teeth and throws himself at Naruto with punches and kicks, but Naruto blocks each one, connecting with a headbutt. Suiton staggers back, but Naruto closes the gap with 3 snap right jabs and a chopping left, slamming Suiton into the tree. Suiton recovers and clutches his face with blood running from his busted cheek and lip. Heitan Senka no Jutsu, a familiar voice shouts. Suiton quickly breaks for the water below as Sasuke lands next to Naruto. Out of my way, dope, Sasuke shouts and launches down. Aki little runt, Kurama hisses and Naruto sighs, leaping down. Sasuke fires several kunai at Suiton, but he creates a wall of water and chakra to block them. Heitan Rika no Jutsu, Sasuke roars, firing a dragon head flame. Suiton calls more of his chakra to block the flame and creates a cloud of steam, foolish brat. This water has made invincible, he shouts, but his breath hitches. I can give team credit where credit is due, but don't tell him that, Naruto says, appearing behind Suiton with Zetsue drawn. Suiton gasps as light fills his vision and searing pain as his right arm flies away from his body. Sasuke uses the moment to launches himself at Suiton and cleave his head from his shoulders with a Fuma Shuriken. Naruto swipes the blood off of Zetsue as Suiton's body falls below the water. He's gaining a bloodlust, he thought. Music end. Naruto creates a clone and it dispels to inform his clones to bring Hinata as he reaches the shoreline and makes several more to help the villagers. FK has Shibuki on his side and checking his wound. Are you okay, FK, he asks. I'm alright, but are you okay, FK says and sees several villagers looking at her. Naruto approaches and squats down, doesn't look too deep, but don't move too much, he says. Hinata soon arrives with his clones and those of Suiton's forces that were alive were captured. Kanahagakure. Hiruzen sighs as he reads Kakashi's report of yet another mission being upgraded to a higher rank due to an enemy attack by Missingen and a false report of a Jimnin meeting. The letter also goes on that the team will remain behind for 3 days to make sure Shibuki is fully healed. Hiruzen places the report down with a sigh. That fact that someone managed to commandeer our messenger hawk and relay false report is very concerning, he thought. Nico, Hiruzen says, and Nico appears. I would like you to investigate the messenger division for an abnormalities over the past 2 weeks, he says, and Nico vanishes. The door to his office opens as his former teammates, Hamura, Kaharu and Dan's enter his office. How can I help you today, Hiruzen says. Hamura slowly adjusts his glasses. We have some concerns about Sasuke, he says. Hamura is an older man with gray hair, a beard, glasses as well as a constant frown. He wears long blue kimono, clothes by an obi and a tan jacket with a white wrap around his neck. And what is that? Does it concern Naruto, Hiruzen says, and Danzo's eye narrows. It does. The boy is dangerous. His demeanor is nothing like his academy days, Kaharu says. She is an older woman, gray hair pulled back in a twin bun, locked by a traditional Japanese hairpin with 2 pearls dangling off the side. She wears a simple dark gray long kimono, closed by an obi, a jacket and a sash over it. I can take him under my tutelage and properly train him, as Argent Kriki Dansm comments, and Hiruzen narrows his eyes. For the umpteenth time, Dansm. Naruto will not be yours. You may think you can fool me by supposedly disbanding your Na, but you have not, Hiruzen states. Dansm can make him a proper shinobi. He even harmed Sasuke, Kaharu says, but Hiruzen raises his hand. Which was a sanctioned spar with Kakashi as a witness. Sasuke is not invincible with his Sharingan. He underestimated Naruto and was defeated, Hiruzen states. We must keep Sasuke appeased, Kaharu says. No, we do not. Sasuke is a genin. No different than anyone else. He may have the Sharingan, but he will not be treated better because of it. Hiruzen states and dismisses them, but Dansum remains. Make any moves against Naruto and you will be executed, Hiruzen adds, but Dansum says nothing, leaving the office. TAM7 see the gates of Konoha coming into view, we will only be taking a one-day break and I'll be upping your training, Kakashi says. Of what sort, Sensei, Hinata asks, and Kakashi looks up from his book. Well, Sasuke and Naruto know their elemental affinities. We'll need to find yours and start shape manipulation. Meet me at the training ground at 8 am, Kakashi says. Will your father allow that, Naruto says, and Hinata slowly nods. The group check in the main gates and Kakashi dismisses them. Sasuke quickly leaves and leaves Hinata and Naruto. Have you started any elemental jutsu, Hinata asks. Not yet, but Kakashi-sensei might throw some my way, Naruto says. Sasuke will pressure sensei for more jutsu, Hinata says. Naruto ruffles his blonde hair, yeah, and he'll be watch us, he thought. See you tomorrow, Naruto-kun, Hinata says and excuses herself. Naruto takes to the roofs and heads for Higurashi weapons. I want to speak to FK more, but letters seem impersonal, he thought. There is a way for you to speak to her face to face, Kurama says, and Naruto arches an eyebrow. When you bumped fist with her, I may have sent some of my chakra into her. I can use that to pull them into a shared mindscape, we bitch cues, Kurama explains. Really? That's so cool. Then I can speak to FK and build her confidence, Naruto thought, entering the shop. Welcome to Higurashi weapons, a deep voice says. Naruto sees a tall and muscular man with short brown hair and a full beard. Hey old man, Senosuke, he says. Tenten isn't here. She's on a mission, Senosuke says, and Naruto nods. I wanted to tell her I got another upgraded mission, Naruto says, as Senosuke comes from behind the counter. Where'd you get those gauntlets, Senosuke asks. The friend found it on a mission, Naruto comments. It was a bitch to get the poison out and refit to her stats, Senosuke states. I hope Tenten likes them, Naruto says. Don't worry about Kozo. I even added some seals to them and fixed the chain launcher. Allowing her to seal several feet of chain, Senosuke explains, and Naruto whistles. I must say that sword of yours is impeccable, Senosuke says, and Naruto smiles with a nod, but then Senosuke grabs Naruto by the head. One more thing. If you make my tension sad. No one will find your body, Senosuke says. I know. You say that every time, Naruto says. Then treat her right, Senosuke says, and the blonde nods. Naruto leaves the store and leaps off towards his apartment, meeting Anko at the door. I thought it was a short mission, Anko says, and Naruto sighs. It got upgraded again. Some Taki Masingnan with a team aim Masingnan attacked for the hero water, Naruto states. Anko chuckles as she opens the door. You have some luck, she muses. Tell me about it, Naruto muses, bending down to rub Kuroshiro's head. Anko slips off her coat and hangs it up as Naruto slips off his boots. Kakashi-sensei is even upping our training now, Naruto says. Finally some jutsu, Anko says, and Naruto slowly nods, taking a seat on the sofa. Anko grabs a bottle of water for him and tosses it. We'll see, but the Chunin exams are coming, he says. No kidding. Konoha is gonna want to show off Sasuke and Hinata's cousin. Plus Kiri is sending a team, Anko says, and Naruto arches an eyebrow. The civil war is over, Naruto says, and Anko nods. Yeah, and got a new Mizukage too. Pretty impressive to send a team after fighting in a civil war. So their team might be pretty strong too, Anko explains, and Naruto smirks. Next day. Naruto, Hinata and Sasuke arrive at training ground 7, where Kakashi was waiting for them. Morning, my kawaii genin. Today we're starting on elemental training, and for the next month. I'll have you learning at least 2 jutsu for your respective affinities, Kakashi explains and hands Hinata a piece of chakra paper. Hinata channels her chakra and the paper dampens. Suiton affinity, it seems, she says, and glances to Naruto. Kakashi creates 3 shadow clones, each clone will teach a jutsu. While I observe and give tips, he says, and looks to Naruto. And only 10 clones, Kakashi says, with an eye smile, and Naruto huffs. Hinata and Sasuke head off with their clones, leaving Naruto and the clone. Alright, show me your manipulation, Kakashi-3 says, and Naruto retrieves several leaves. Naruto cuts them with Pton and crinkles them with his Raiten, causing Kakashi-3 to eye smile. Alright, I will teach you one Pton and Raiten, Kakashi-3 says, and starts slowly doing signs, ending in bird. Pton Tapa Kakashi-3 says and takes a deep breath, sending a gust of wind. I kept a depot word but in your hands. It could match its upgraded version, Tapa Kakashi-3 says, and Naruto slowly nods. Kakashi-3 starts signs once more and ends on Ram, Raiten Reikiki says, and creates several lightning spheres. Had you Kage Bunshin no Jutsu, Naruto declares and creates 10 clones. Naruto starts working on the hand signs and making the 2 jutsu Kakashi-3 taught him. Ton Tapa, Naruto thought, trying the jutsu, and blows a small gust of wind. The FFTT, hahaha, Kurama shouts and Naruto sweat drops. Naruto continues on and dispels his clones one at a time, and each time got better. Point 1 St person view Naruto inner monologue. For the next 4 months we alternated with elemental training and missions, some were simple like our mission for Nekaba, but the cats avoided me because of Kurashiro. I mastered both jutsu Kakashi gave me, and he taught me the Tatapa and a few Raiten jutsu as well. Hinata finished her elemental shape manipulation, and she learned the Mizurappa and Teppadama. Sasuke on the other hand was watching and stealing with his Sharingan, namely my mixed jutsu, but without my body type it was impossible for him. I never let it bother me, but Hinata was concerned and voiced these concerns to Kakashi. He often admonished Sasuke for this, but Sasuke seemed to ignore it. We worked with our fellow rookie teams, except for Team Guy, but mainly due to Kakashi's fear a rivalry with Might Guy, but I met up with Tenten and Lee to train on our off time, learning Tenten has a Raiten affinity like me, and showed her how to do the manipulations. I got to know Tsunade a lot better, and she told me that her student Shizune was actually her biologically daughter. I could understand that being the son of a cage. Tsunade taught me how to use the Mysticbum, but she was impressed by Hinata and was debating on taking her as an apprentice. Though the elders and traditionalists of her clan were against it, but Hiashi shockingly was not against it. The village welcomed Tsunade back and tried to curry favor with her, but my fellow blonde shot them down in a heartbeat and kept secret that she was becoming the Godame Hokage. Tsunade even met with many of the younger Kunoichi to set them straight about Kunoichi life, but the fangirl plague still held strong with many. Speaking of fangirls, something strange or downright weird came out that Sasuke was hanging out with Sakura, so much that it seemed they were dating. Sakura hung off Sasuke's coattails, often coming to our training session or spying for Sasuke. Ino took the news in shock and was moping about because but it showed Sakura's true colors as she made it known she has Sasuke. After that Ino started to take her training more seriously and came to me or Hinata for tips. I was glad Ino was breaking free from the fangirl plague. Another thing was I getting letters from FK and they were good. The villagers were more accepting of her since the Suian's invasion and was close to becoming a genin. We even tried the Bijk mindscape and it worked, allowing FK to see me face to face when we were sleeping. Another month passed and the Chunin exams were closing in, our training was slowing down, but we were prepared. Naruto yawns as he makes his way through the village, Chunin exams are here. The village is more lively he thought. Hey let me go please let him go. Shut up several voices shout. Naruto follows the sounds and sees Konohamaru being held up by a young man. Sakura was glaring at the boy with Miyogi and Yuten behind her. He has makeup on his face and dressed in a black baggy full bodysuit with a red and yellow circle on the front. He also wears a black hood which covered his head completely and has cat-like ears. Pankram let him go the girl next to him says. She has teal eyes and sandy blonde hair which is gathered into 4 consecutive pigtails. She wears a single light purple-colored off-shoulders garment that extended to halfway down her thighs, with a scarlet sash tied around her waist and fishnet worn over her shoulders, legs, but specifically on her right calf and her left thigh. Don't worry about it Temari. Gaara isn't here Kankram says. Konohamaru struggles to free himself, but he sees Naruto and he shouts. Temari and Kankuro turn to see Naruto with his hands pocketed, causing the former to lick her lips. He's kinda cute for a tree hugger Temari thought. Put him down. He's the Sandame's grandson Naruto says. Kankram smirks with a eye smile to Naruto, and if I don't he says, but his breath hitches as Naruto was behind him. He's fast Temari thought. Kankram drops Konohamaru and whips around with a back jump, reaching for the large pack on his back as Konohamaru runs behind Naruto. Kankram? You're using crow Temari says, and Kankram chuckles but feels a rock strike his head. Sasuke-kun Sakura shouts. Sasuke was standing on a branch with a few rocks in his hands, what do you think you're doing? Foreign ninja he says and Kankuro glares at him. You're a disgrace to our village Kankram a voice says and Kankram freezes. Sasuke gasps as well as underneath the branch he was on was another person. He has spiky red hair and teal eyes, but dark rings around them, along a tattoo of love on his forehead. He wears a black bodysuit with an open neck, shirt-like sleeves, and almost full-length leggings. But this, he wears a white cloth over his right shoulder and the left side of his hips. He has a wide leather band from his left shoulder to his right hip with which he carries his sand gourd. Kankram says. How did he get under me Sasuke thought. Naruto looks over Gaara with a tilt of his head, Shukaku's Jinchuriki. Those bags under his eyes denote that Tanuki's torment Kurama says. How do you know that Naruto thought. Shukaku never sleeps. So he probably torments his host with the same Kurama replies. Gaara vanishes in a swirl of sand and appears next to his siblings, I apologize on my brother's behalf he says. Sasuke quickly drops down with a crouch, you must be here for the Chunin exams. Who are you he says. My name is Gaara no Sabaku Gaara says, but spies Naruto, who are you he directs to him. Sasuke has Sasuke interjects, but Gaara points to Naruto. I meant him, Gaara says, and Sasuke glares, clenching his fists. Naruto ruffles his hair with a blank look. Naruto Uzumaki. Kimdai, he says, his eyes flashing red for a moment. A dark smirk forms on Gaara's face, and that scares his siblings. I look forward to proving my existence to you, he says, leaving with his siblings. Konohamaru and his friends run off as Sasuke scoffs at Naruto and leaves with Sakura hanging of him. Naruto sighs and continues to head for their team's meeting spot, but bloodlust enters his senses. Boy, we have found our prey, a smooth voice says. Naruto pockets his hands and turns to three people, but one of them is Haku. He wears a dark blue kimono, which extends to mid-thigh, with camo pants underneath. He also has a wide obi adorned with black snowflakes and Jetta sandal, his hair pinned up like before and a kiri headache. Hello Naruto-kun, Haku says. Accompanying Haku were a young man and young woman, both leaking their kai. The man is tall with pointed teeth, shoulder-length wavy black hair over the right side of his face, and light blue eyes. He wears a red, sleeveless pinstripe turtleneck shirt, along with matching armors and black pants. A sleeveless black Jinbei Ori war coat with tan lining and grey hemming, worn as a surcoat in the traditional style. Interesting, he muses. His comrade is of average height and slender, built with short and straight comb-back blonde hair, blue-color eyes and sharp teeth. She wears a red, pinstripe and sleeveless dress with a short skirt and leggings of the same design and long wrist wraps. She also wears a long-sleeved black Jinbei Ori war coat with tan lining and grey hemming, draped over her shoulders. So he's the one who fought Zabuza-sama. Heh, he doesn't look so tough. Right, Shizuma, she says, smirking. Shizuma approaches Naruto and gives him the once-over, other than the Chelsea Scarbunton. Indeed, he's not so tough, he says. How have you been, Haku? Naruto asks, ignoring both. Haku covers his mouth with an eye smile. Things are rebuilding. God Imusama sent us to show the world Kurigakure still has power, he explains. Naruto glances to Shizuma and Bunton. You both fought in the Civil War, he asks. We did, and we'll show all the other nations. The power of the bloody mist, Shizuma says, brushing past Naruto and followed by Bunton. Forgive them, Naruto. Both of them are related to infamous Missingnon, Haku says, and excuses himself. Naruto watches him leave and turns on his heels, but covers his face as a wide grin forms on his face, before leaping off and meeting his team. Kakashi gives them their waivers to join the exams, before departing, and Sasuke follows suit. Naruto-kun, have you noticed Sasuke-san's changes, Hinata states. Yeah, and it's odd. He's ignored Sakura for the longest, and now they look like a couple, Naruto comments. So anyway. Are you ready for the exams, Naruto adds, and Hinata slightly pokes her fingers. It will be a test and a wake-up call, Hinata says. The pair continue through the village and eventually part ways until tomorrow. Next H-nin exams are D1. Naruto stares into his full-length mirror, dressed in dark blue Anbu cargos with combat boots. A form-fitting, high-collar, lightweight tactical vest, a form-fitting, long-sleeve shirt with silver sleeves with bionic arm graphics on them, and a pair of white gloves, but the palms of the gloves were dark blue. Naruto secures his ninja pouch to his pants and Zetsue to his back, pointing to his right shoulder. Time for some fun, and if you get promoted, the village will lose their minds, Kurama states, and Naruto ruffles his hair before tying his hide to his left arm. Naruto grabs a bottle water and quickly down it. We'll see, he thought, heading out. He quickly takes the roofs to meet his team at the academy gates, finding Sasuke already there and Hinata walking up. You better not bring me down, Dobe, Sasuke says, but Naruto ignores him as they enter the academy with the other teams. Hey, let us in, a voice shouts, as TEAM-7 makes it to the second floor, but it was marked third. Naruto saw Tenten and her team arguing with two proctors, but they weren't having it. Naruto-kun, this isn't the right floor, Hinata whispers, and Naruto slowly nods, but quickly elbows Sasuke before he could speak. Don't say a word, team, Naruto says, as they head to the proper floor. TEAM-7 reaches a large hall. Wait, a loud voice says. Naruto looks up and sees Lee on the balcony, but Sasuke scoffs. What do you want, Sasuke says. Lee quickly leaps down into a crouch. I challenge you to a fight, Sasuke, he says. Why should I fight you, Sasuke says, and Lee takes his Goken stance. I wish to see if hard work can beat natural talent, Lee says, and Sasuke smirks, activating his Sharingan. You've heard of me. Yet you wish to try. Foolish, Sasuke sneers. Naruto sighs and taps Hinata on the shoulder. Let's go. This won't take long, he says. Are you sure, Naruto-kun, Hinata says, and Naruto looks between the pair. Yeah, we already know the winner, Naruto says, heading for the stairs to the third floor with Hinata in tow. So you are smart, Dobe, Sasuke shouts, but Naruto ignores him. The pair make it to third floor and find Kakashi waiting for them. Where's Sasuke, Kakashi asks. He'll be along shortly, Naruto says. Sure enough, Sasuke comes up the stairs with a bruise on his face. But now that you're all here, you can officially take the exams. Only teams of 3 can enter this room, Kakashi says, and his team nods, causing him to smile. Good luck and be prepared for anything, Kakashi says, and vanishes in a puff of smoke. TAM-7 opens the door and get a view of numerous teams from numerous villages, giving them various looks. Naruto spies Haku and Gaara's teams, giving them scrutinizing looks, so few challenges, he thought. Sasuke-kun, Sakura shouts, jumping onto Sasuke's back. Sasuke frowns but gives the Pinkette a look and she gets off of him as the rest of team arrives. Naruto, Kiba says, and Naruto bumps his fist before he rubs Akamaru's head. Shino, Naruto says, and Shino gives Naruto a curt nod. TAM-10 soon arrives and Ino gives Sakura a look but the Pinkette smirks. Landakuse, the most troublesome team is here, Shikamaru says, as Shinji eats some chips. Looks like all the rookies are participating, Kiba comments, and Naruto glances around the room but sees the Odo team. All 3 were giving off arrogant stances and one runs his finger across his neck. He has spiky black hair, dark eyes and dressed in a beige shirt with 2 black stripes and 3 prints of the kanji for death down the front. His forehead protector has an attached tapiri under the cloth rather than connected to the metal plate. Looks, it's the Uchiha, he says. The lone Kunoichi has fair skin, black eyes with very long black hair, almost reaching down to the ground, tied by a violet ribbon right near the end. She wears a pale green vest somewhat similar to a flak jacket, snake-patterned pants with a snake-patterned skirt over it, and a snake-patterned scarf around her neck, much like her teammates. He's not bad looking, she says. The last is the most mysterious as bandages cover most of his face, leaving only his left eye uncovered. He wears a large poncho with long sleeves, a snake-patterned scarf around his neck. A straw raincoat protruding from the back of his scarf and a large amplifier on his right arm. You should be weary. Everyone is on edge. These exams are nothing to scoff at, a voice says. The Konoha 9 turns to a young man with onyx eyes and ash-gray hair and a ponytail and black-rimmed glasses. He wears a dark purple shirt with a high collar, a white undershirt, and dark purple pants with a white cloth waistband. Who the hell are you, Kiba says. The shinobi adjusts his glasses. I'm Kabuto Yakushi, and I am your senpai. I have taken these exams several times, he says. Naruto tilts his head, but his eyes narrow. He's stronger than most everyone in this room, and he smells of snakes like Anko, he thought, but turns his attention to the Odo team. Naruto breaks off from his group with his hands pocketed and approaches the sound trio. What the you want, Treehugger, the brash one of the 3 says. Naruto leans towards his face, scoping the competition. Odo is recently formed village, and I wanted to see how stack up. BDI, he says. BDI. My name is Zaku, and remember it. Because it'll be the last word you'll hear, Zaku says. The mummy of the group grabs Zaku, easy. My name is Dosu and that's Kin. So do we stack up, he says. Yes. You have my attention. You've been directing your Kai at me or my team. Either way, message received, Naruto says and turns on his heels, heading back towards his team. Zaku was about to charge Naruto, but Dosu grabs, stop. That's the Jinchuriki. He's dangerous, he whispers. So what did I miss, Naruto says, reaching the others. Kabuto turns around with an adjust of his glasses. I was showing your fellow rookies information on certain ninja in the exam, he says, but Naruto frowns. That's no fun, but I am curious about something, Kabuto. Why do you smell like snakes, Naruto says, catching Kabuto off guard, but before he could answer. A large puff of smoke erupts and reveals Ibiki and about 20 members of the T-Force. Alright, maggots. It's time to begin. My name is Ibiki Marino, and I am the proctor of this first round of the Chunin exams, Ibiki declares, causing everyone to go on guard. Now everyone hand in your slips. You will be giving a number, and that number will determine where you sit for this first round written exams, Ibiki adds. The genin soon form a line and hand in their slips, before long all of them were seated. Naruto finds himself next to Ino. Good luck, Ino, he says, and Ino glances his way. Whatever. It doesn't concern you, Ino says. Naruto arches an eyebrow, but Ibiki slams his fist on the board, everyone eyes front. There are several rules you all need to know for this exam, Ibiki starts. Now then, this exam is based on a number system. You will begin with a perfect score of 10, but for every question you miss, a point is deducted. Rule 2. Your team will pass or fail based on the total number of points you finish with. Rule 3. The sentinels around the room are there to see if you're cheating, and if they catch you, 2 points are deducted, Ibiki continues. But Sakura shouts. Ibiki tilts his head with a smirk, that's right, and if you're caught 5 times, you're disqualified before the tests are done, and so is your entire team, Ibiki states, shocking many in the room. Psychological warfare already, Naruto thought. Now the final question won't be given out until 15 minutes before the end of the exam. You have 1 hour to finish the test. Now begin, Ibiki shouts. Naruto flips over the test and starts to move the pencil through his fingers. So how do we do this, Setsue comments. This exam is about information gathering. Ibiki wants us to cheat without getting caught. Some in the room have figured it out already, Naruto thought. Throughout the room various genin were gathering their intel. Dosu using his hearing, while Gaara used his sand and Kankuro his puppets. Tenten uses mirrors and chakra string to get her answers from Shino, who used his insects to ascertain his own. However, just as many were caught as well, their entire team kicked out by the proctors. Zetsue manifests behind Naruto and starts to search for the answers, try Sakura. She's the smartest of our group, he thought, but his eyes narrow. The temperature in the room has changed. Heck, clever. Amp up the tension and mistakes will be made, Naruto thought. Hinata, Niji and Sasuke use their Dijutsu to get their answers, while Ino uses her clan's techniques to get the answers. This is the least you can do. After stealing Sasuke-kun from me, forehead, Ino thought. Time continues to click by as the number of teams failing reaches 15, alright, listen up. It's time for the 10th and final question, Ibiki shouts, but smirks. However, there is a few more rules you need to know. Rule 1, you all have a right to refuse the final question, Ibiki says. Hey, what's the catch if refuse the 10th question, Tamari shouts. Simple, if you refuse the 10th question. Regardless of the other 9. You get a 0, thus your team fails, Ibiki replies and murmurs echoes. Clever, creating more tension and more snap reactions. Ibiki, you are a man that can break even the strongest mind, but not this one, Naruto thought. Quite confident, Kurama comments. Ibiki raises a finger, now if you do take the 10th question and answer wrong. You will be barred from ever taking the Chunin exams again, Ibiki declares. Kiba quickly bolts up in his chair, that's bull. There are people who have taken the exams before, he shouts, and Akamaru barks, but Ibiki chuckles. That may be true, but it just means you're unlucky to have me as your proctor. By all means skip it and just come back next year. Now if you don't want to take the final question. Raise your hand and you can leave, Ibiki states. The tension in the room continues to grow as the time ticks by and slowly people raise their hands. Any more, Ibiki shouts, and no one moves, well. You all pass, he adds, causing the room to explode with murmurs. Ibiki removes his bandana to reveal to his scarred head, the 10th question was your choice to stay. The 9 questions were designed to have you gather information. Which is key to battles. A shinobi must endure even through pain or death to gather information, he explains, retying his bandana. Suddenly the window shatters as a black bundle passes through, she's jumped the gun again, Ibiki thought. The bundle unfurls with several kunai piercing the wall to hold, revealing Anko, and painted on the banner were her name and several pictures of Naruto. One of which is blown up of him asleep with no shirt on, causing several of the Kunoichi, even Ino and Hinata, to have minor nosebleeds. When did you get that photo of him topless, Tenten shouts, bolting up in her seat and shocking her teammates. Shadows cover Naruto's face as he snaps the pencil in half, amid the loud cackling of Kurama and Zetsue. The name's Anko Mitarashi and I am the proctor of the second round of the exams. Are you ready, Anko shouts. Ibiki peeks from behind the banner, you're early again, and did you forget who's here, he says, and Anko freezes. She mechanically turns her head as Naruto was sitting with a blank look on his face, before slowly rising from his seat and heading to the door. Naruto raises his boot and kicks down the door amid the shocked looks of the others. Naruto, wait. Anshin is sorry, Anko shouts, running after him followed by Tenten. Yeah, blame her not me, Tenten shouts. Ibiki clears his throat and gets their attention, congratulations on passing, and you should follow Anko to the Forest of Death for the second round, he says. Everyone gets to their feet and following Anko out of the room. Say that is the first time I've seen Naruto really upset, Shikamaru says, and the other Konoha rookies were just as confused. Anshin is sorry, Naruto, Anko says over and over, shaking Naruto side to side with Tenten on the other side. Yeah, Naruto. She's sorry. Plus I had nothing to do with this, Tenten says. Naruto leans on the raised podium with arms folded and his cheeks puffed up, near them was also a large tent. The others are coming, Naruto says, pushing off the podium, but looks back with his tongue out. Anko composes herself quickly as the other genin arrive, and Naruto makes his way to his team, while Tenten does the same, but the blonde could feel lustful gazes on him. Are you alright, Naruto-kun, Hinata asks, and Naruto waves his hand. Anko unleashes her kai to garner their attention, alright, listen up. Behind me is training ground 44 the Forest of Death, and for the next 5 days you're home away from home. It is fortified locked gates. A river and forest inside. This second round is about survival, she declares. Survive, Ino shouts. Anko grins wide and holds up 2 scrolls with one marked heaven and the other earth, that's right, Blondie. The goal is to survive and reach the center tower with both these scrolls, she explains. So we have to survive and get both scrolls. Is killing allowed, Bunten says, grinning. Anko looks over the Kiri Kunoichi, exactly. Do whatever it takes to have both scrolls. Every team is your enemy, she states. What about food, Chimjai says in Shikamaru's eyes, muttering. Plenty of animals inside or just starve. Treat this like a real mission, Anko says and holds up a stack of papers. This waiver will absolve your respective villages in case of death. Take one. Pass it around and sign it. Then turn them in and receive the scroll for your team, Anko adds. Each of the genin sign their waiver and one member of the respective teams gets the scroll, with Hinata getting their heaven scroll. Each team moved to their respective gate and TEAM7 gets the 12th gate. You two better not hold me back, Sasuke says, and Naruto ignores him. He moves Zetsue to his lower back and adjusts his gloves, 2 minor objectives. Find out why Kabuto smells like snakes and Scout Gar, Naruto thought. The proctor opens the lock-on gate and checks her watch. I gotta say. Anko didn't do you justice, she says, and Naruto scoffs. She better be ready for the prank that comes, Naruto says, and a chill goes up Anko's spine. The timer blares and the gates open as all the teams rush inside, thus beginning the second round of the Chunin exams. Anko kicks her legs lazily with a dango stick in her mouth and screams, filling her ears. The fun has finally begun, she thought, but sighs. I bet Naruto is upset with me for showing those photos, but I wanted those little girls to see that he is my man, Anko thought, spitting her stick at a lizard and through its head. Oi Mitarashi, come check this out, a proctor shouts. Anko scoffs and hops down with a TSK. What? Some kid ran back to the fence, Katetsu, she says. Katetsu has long, spiky black hair and dark eyes. A strip of bandage running across the bridge of his nose and a light color marking on his chin and gray uniform. No, we found 3 bodies, Katetsu says, but Anko scoffs. So what, people die in the forest all the time, Anko says, but Katetsu shakes his head. No, these bodies are outside the gate and all of them are strange. Just come and look, Katetsu says, and Anko scratches her ear and her earring twinkles. Hind, lead the way, Anko says, and the follows Katetsu to the aforementioned gate. 2 other proctors were looking over the bodies as all of them were face down. Anko arrives with Katetsu. So who are they, she says. The Kusa team, but their faces are missing, one says, named Izumo, and Anko's breath hitches. Izumo has brown hair and dark eyes with his hair combed down and his right eye, dressed in the gray uniform. The proctor named Mizoku has dark-colored hair that is concealed by his hide, which he wears like a bandana with glasses and gray uniform. That's his dotting style. Why is he here, Anko thought. Alert the Hokage right now. Orochimaru has infiltrated the exams. Also get an Anbu squad, Anko shouts and rushes towards the fence and leaps over before the others could protest. That bastard. Could he be after Naruto, Anko thought, leaping from tree to tree. Music, Orochimaru theme extended, Naruto asked. The EAM7 currently find themselves in a small clearing after dealing with a shapeshifting team from AIM. We'll need a password or phrase to make sure we are who we are, Sasuke suggests, but Naruto points to Hinata. I Byakugan can ascertain the truth, Hinata says. Naruto looks around, but suddenly the wind picks up violently, tearing through the area and sends him flying, or so they thought. Hinata and Sasuke are thrown into several bushes as the latter draws a kunai. What the hell was that, Sasuke thought, as they emerge from the bushes and sees a large run torn into the ground. Naruto-kun, Hinata shouts, with a few cuts in her clothes, but ominous chuckling echoes around them. Yufufufu. I would worry about yourselves. Rather than that boy, a dark feminine voice says. A tall figure emerges from the shadows of the trees with long smooth hair and black eyes. She wears a tan top with a greenish outfit underneath, a thick purple rope belt tied in a large knot behind her back. The Kunoichi pulls an earth scroll from her pack with a giggle. You want this to match yours, she says, before swallowing it down. Call me Shire. Before very long. One of us will have both scrolls and the other will be dead, Shire sneers, unleashing her kai. Hinata and Sasuke gasps as their deaths played before their very eyes, causing both to drop their knees and Hinata to vomit. Yufufufu. So much for the mighty Uchiha, Shire sneers. Sasuke struggles to his feet as his Sharingan activates and gains another Tomo. I won't be looked down on, he thought. Ah. He's overcome the fear through sheer will, Shire thought. Sasuke throws himself forward with a thrust of kunai and shuriken, but Shire dodges back and breaks left. Hinata struggles to her feet, but her legs were wobbly. I'm no good like this, she thought. Hinata gasps as Shire drives her foot into her gut, knocking the wind out of her and slamming her into a tree. Naruto-kun, Hinata thought, losing consciousness. Sasuke rejoins the fray with several kicks, but Shire blocks and counters with her own. The Uchiha blood is arisen. Show me more, Shire says. Haten Kakik no Jutsu, Sasuke shouts, firing a large flame. Shire dodges the flames, but Sasuke closes in with a barrage of kicks and punches and Shire dodges. However, gains the upper hand and sends Sasuke into a tree with a crack, but the Uchiha Saiyan substitutes with a log and pulls some ninja wire, ensnaring Shire to another tree. Hatenrika no Jutsu, Sasuke shouts, engulfing the enemy Kunoichi and blowing a hole through the tree. Music ends. Sasuke pants heavily to rein in his breath, but ominous chuckling comes from Shire's body as she frees herself, but the feminine tone shifts to a male tone. Impressive, Sasuke-kun. Such control over your Sharingan. You will do so nicely, Shire says, but part of her face is ripped away. The ripped portion reveals pale white skin and a snake-like eye with purple markings. Your eyes are so much keener than Itachi's, Shire says. Woe are you, Sasuke shouts, trying to move but cannot. I am Orochimaru, but that's all you get until we meet again, Orochimaru says, and suddenly extends his neck to bite Sasuke on the collarbone. Sasuke screams as Orochimaru pulls back and a 3-tomo mark forms as the Uchiha heir struggles to stay standing but collapses. Seek me out if wish to have true power, Orochimaru says, starting to sink into the ground but stops and starts to laugh. Fukuku. I was wondering when you would show. Not very nice to let your teammates get so hurt. Naruto-kun, Orochimaru says, looking to a higher branch. It's not something I want my teammates to see, Naruto says, landing in front of the unconscious Sasuke. Orochimaru chuckles with a grin, as much I would like to test the Kyuubi Jinchuriki. I've already gone. Setting my sights on someone else. My dear sweet, and he starts, but Naruto's boot slams him into the tree. However, Orochimaru melts into mud, causing Naruto to kick the tree, and it shatters. Damn it, he's here, then Anko, Naruto thought, and creates 2 clones, take Sasuke and Hinata somewhere safe. One of you dispel to let me know, he says, and both nod as Naruto vanishes. Moments earlier. Anko races through the forest in search of her bastard sensei, Naruto. I know you'll be mad me, but I have to do this, she thought. Anko drops down as she sees a figure in the distance and her eyes narrow in rage. Fufufu. Anko, my dear. It's been too long, Orochimaru says. Anko pulls 4 senbon from her sleeve, cut the shit. You're in class missingnan and need to be taken down. Who better to do it than your former student, she shouts, flinging the senbon. Not quite, Orochimaru says, spewing his tongue. Anko dodges up the tree into a crouch, but dodges again as the tongue follows her, but snatches her right arm, dragging her to the ground, but she corrects. Tsunade Ashu, Anko shouts, spewing snakes from her sleeve. The snake slam the Sannin into the tree and yanks Orochimaru out and slamming him into the tree behind her. Now you die, Anko shouts, rushing him, but her body seizes and the Orochimaru before melts into mud. Anko clutches her curse mark as it pulses wildly. No. No, she thought. Fukuku. Almost, Anko dear, such a shame, Orochimaru sneers and raises a half ramson. Anko screams loudly as her curse mark starts to spread. What have you done, she screams. I've decided to get rid of you, dear. Your curse mark will spread and it will kill you. I can only imagine the look on Naruto-kun's face, Orochimaru states. Anko collapses with a heated glare on her face as her marking spreads to her face. Don't you touch him, she shouts, tears in her eyes. So? He did heal your broken heart and soul. Kukuku, Orochimaru says, but his breath hitches. Music cometh the hour, part of Bleach Ost. Naruto lands with a thud behind them, but his breath is distorted. Stay away from her, he hisses, stepping out the shadows. Orochimaru's eyes narrow as Naruto's form comes into view with his holification on full display. Is the Kyuubi doing this, Orochimaru thought. Interesting, Naruto-kun. I wonder if the Kyuubi is responsible for this, Orochimaru says and lowers his stance, but his eyes widen. Naruto grabs Orochimaru's face and blitzes them through several trees as Anko's curse mark stops. Naruto, Anko thought. Naruto reaches a clearing and drives Orochimaru into the ground before leaping and driving his boot into the Sannin's chest. This indeed is an interesting transformation, Orochimaru says as the one under Naruto's boot melts. Believe what you want, Orochimaru, Naruto says and reaches for Zetsue. Orochimaru quickly closes the gap between them, but his body was sliced in half, shocking the Sannin. Orochimaru opens his mouth wide as another body emerges, but Naruto gives him no quarter. Byakurai, Naruto utters, blowing open Orochimaru's shoulder. The Sannin hisses in pain and shunshins to a branch. This boy can be very dangerous. If this is the Kyuubi, I'll just shut it out, he thought, his fingers glow. Orochimaru launches forward with his real speed and jams his fingers into Naruto's stomach. Gajimfkin, he hisses. Naruto's body seizes and his transformation seizes, but Naruto fades away, shocking Orochimaru. Utsusemi, Naruto hisses, behind the Sannin with Zetsue raised and cutting through Orochimaru's right shoulder down. Orochimaru once again his mouth wide, but a large white snake erupts out with his face. Curse you, boy, he hisses. So that's your true form, Naruto says, but his eyes narrow. Shame I can't kill just yet. You and I both know Anbu are approaching, he adds. Orochimaru narrows his eyes with a hiss. You will regret this, boy, but at least I can take Anko away from you, he says, bursting into hundreds of snakes. He's right. I can sense her fading, Kurama says and Naruto swipes his face, releasing his hollow mask. Music restriction and pledge Hunter x Hunter Ost. Naruto quickly races back to Anko and finds her laying nearly motionless, her breathing labored and sweating profusely. Anko. Wake up, Naruto shouts, rubbing her cheek. Anko barely opens her eyes, but manages a weak but sad smile. Sorry, Naruto. The bastard got me, she whispers. Naruto clenches his fist, but glances Zetsue and grimaces, "You jinxed yourself," she says, and Naruto looks down. "Anshin, I can save you, but you have to do something," Naruto says, and Anko winces in pain. "Whatever it takes. I don't want to die." Before we, Anko whispers and coughs violently. Naruto clenches Zetsue and brings it closer to her chest. "You'll have drive Zetsue into your chest, and it'll make you like me," he states and raises a ramson, creating a barrier. Anko slowly reaches for the blade and they drive it into her chest, causing a bright blue glow to illuminate the forest. The light slowly dies down and Naruto pants heavily as Anko lays motionless, but her curse mark was gone, leaving some burned skin where it originated. Next to Anko was a Wakizashi with a coiled snake guard and purple and silver hilt. "How much did she get?" Naruto thought, and Zetsue manifests. "About 40%, but it seems to be a success. Perhaps being exposed to your Reiatsu facilitated the change," Zetsue states. Naruto removes his left glove and bites his thumb, "Raise her shirt. I need to put the pseudo Gentari plus N," he says, and Zetsue lifts Anko's shirt. "Genjutsu is quite the art. If you were able to recreate the Gentari plus N," Zetsue says. Naruto places his thumb on Anko's stomach and starts to draw an Old English 6 and channels his Reiatsu, causing it to glow and adhere to her skin before vanishing. "There now, she won't leak her Reiatsu unknowingly," Naruto says and rises to his feet, Anbu are close by. "They'll take care of her," he adds, picking up her sword and seals it into his left hand. "You should get back to Hinata and Sasuke," Zetsue says and dispels. Naruto gives Anko one last long look and leaps off, revealing her location to the Anbu. Nico quickly appears in a crouch. "Over here, it's Anko," she shouts, picking her up. Music ends. Naruto stares out the opening of the abandoned tree that his clones found for Sasuke and Hinata. Hinata woke up during the interim and nearly popped his clone, but Sasuke was sweating profusely. Naruto looks away from the opening to the other occupant in the tree, her red eyes filled with worry. "You can rest, Karen. I'll keep watch," Naruto says. Karen adjusts her glasses with a weak nod. "Teams may try to attack during the night. I should be your guard. I can sense them," she says, but Naruto waves his hand. "Don't worry," Naruto muses. "I think a member of your clan was still alive," Kurama comments. Naruto rests Zetsue on his shoulder. "Good thing I killed that bear, but this may present a problem. Karen is a pure Uzumaki. Those bastards will hound her," he thought. "Then have the Senju take her into her custody until you reach clan head status," Kurama says, and Naruto sighs but nods. Nightfall drags on, but no teams try their luck, but not for a lack of trying, due to Naruto keeping his barrier up while asleep. The morning soon came and Naruto closes his eyes, dropping his barrier and listening for movement. "Naruto-kun," Hinata whispers and Naruto glances back. "Morning, Hinata. Are you feeling any better?" Naruto asks, and Hinata slowly nods. Naruto quickly makes 2 clones to get them some fresh water as he unseals some food from his scrolls. "Has Sasuke woken up yet?" Hinata says, but Naruto shakes his head, taking an apple. "His fever has started to go down, but nothing indicates he'll wake up soon. We're at a disadvantage. Even if Karen helps us," Naruto says, but his eyes narrow, feeling his clones dispel. "Hinata, stay in here and don't come out. We have company," Naruto says, getting to his feet. "I can help you," Hinata says, but Naruto give her an eye smile. "Don't worry. I'll be back," Naruto says, stepping out of the hollowed out tree. Sitting on a rock was Zaku, while Kin and Dosu were in front of their teammate. "Wake up, Sasuke. We wish to fight him," Dosu says. Naruto drives Zetsue into the dirt and rests his right hand on the hilt. "Sorry, Sasuke isn't here right now. Can I take a message?" he says, taking a bite of his apple. Zaku hops down with a sneer on his face. "Looks like you wanna die first," he shouts, raising his hands and reveals small holes in it. "Take this," Zaku shouts, firing a concussive blast of air. Naruto breaks right as it tears a path, but Dosu meets him with his Kime Sup plus K aimed for the blonde, but he somersaults over his swing. "Oof, that is an interesting weapon," Naruto shouts, landing and turning on his heel to close the gap between him and Kin. "Zanka," Zaku shouts, aiming for Naruto, but only hits Kin and slams her into a tree unconscious. Naruto lands on the rock Zaku was sitting on. "No care for teammates," he says. Dosu narrows his eye. "He's definitely strong. Somehow he's not affected by my Kime Sup plus K," he thought. "Zaku will take him together," Dosu starts, but a chill went through his body. Naruto leaps off the rock and it shatters, but Zaku raises his hands. Zankikuha here roars, but this time engulfs Naruto in the blast. "Ha. He's not so tough," Zaku shouts, but Dosu's eye widens. "Zaku, behind you," Dosu shouts. Zaku whips around, gasps as Naruto was behind him, his face scuffed with dirt and his hair blasted back. "Boy. Face. What did the 5 fingers say to face?" Naruto says. What Zaku says, but Naruto connects with a left hook to the jaw, laying out the Kakyodo shinobi. "Slap, or rather punch in this instance," Naruto says and turns his attention to Dosu. Naruto cracks his knuckles, your turn he says, but stops and his eyes narrow. Music Jinkyasha Naruto asked. A dark and sinister chakra catches Dosu and Naruto's attention as Sasuke rises to his feet, purple chakra swirling around him. Hinata and Karen quickly get out Sasuke's path as he methodically emerges from the tree with a flame-like pattern on the left side of his body. Dope. Fight me Sasuke utters, his Sharingan active. Naruto fully turns to Sasuke with narrowed eyes, this isn't time team. If haven't noticed. We're under attack he says. Sasuke stares at this left and clenches it, I could care less about trash he says. Boy mummy. Take your teammates and leave the scroll Naruto says, leaking his kai. Dosu tosses his earth scroll towards Naruto and collects his fallen teammates. Orochimaru-sama didn't mention the curse mark he thought, leaping away. You'll fight me Dobe Sasuke starts, but smirks, or maybe I'll mess with that redhead girl he adds. Naruto pulls some air in through his nose and exhales deeply but shakes his head, not today team he says. Then I'll make you. Kaiten Senka no Jutsu Sasuke roars, firing the shuriken-coated flames. Naruto dodges the flames and closes the gap between but smirks nighty-night team he says and Sasuke.s Hinata quickly closes several of Sasuke's Tenketsu points and the strange marks recedes and he collapses. Music ends. Sasuke-kun a certain voice erupts. Sakura emerges from the bushline toward Sasuke, what did you do to him she shrieks. We stopped him from nearly killing us. Since you were close. You saw everything Naruto states. Kiba and Shino drop from the tree, what was that chakra Kiba asks. You got me Naruto says, picking up the scroll and retrieving Zetsue. Sakura continues to blubber over Sasuke, but he scrunches his face and opens his eyes, Sasuke-kun she cries. Sakura. Where am I Sasuke says, but Naruto silently scoffs. Naruto-kun. Should I open his Tenketsu Hinata says, following him to the tree. Karen comes out with a frightened look on her face, his chakra was so foul and cold she says. Don't mind him Naruto says, rubbing her head. Kiba and Shino follow Naruto, do you have all your scrolls Kiba asks. No we lost our heaven scroll. We'll find another Naruto says, lying perfectly. Oh. Well a bit of warning. Stay away from the Suna team Kiba starts and shudders a bit, they are dangerous he adds and Shino nods. Thanks for the tip. Need some food. We've got extra Naruto says, but Kiba shakes his head. Nah. We're leaving Kiba says and turns on his heels, Sakura let's go he shouts. I'm not leaving Sasuke-kun Sakura screeches, but Sasuke touches her cheek and nods. Sakura quickly gets to her feet and follows her team, shocking the remaining TAM7 and Karen. He's got a hold on that howler monkey Kurama says. Sasuke staggers to his feet and approaches Naruto, what happened to my power he says. Hinata closed some of your Tenketsu points to keep you from drawing on it. That power is nasty Naruto says, but Sasuke grabs his shirt. I need power to kill him. Orochimaru has given me power and reminded me who I am. I am Avenger. I must have power at any cost. Even if being consumed by evil Sasuke says. You're no Captain America Zetsue comments as Naruto grabs Sasuke's arm and applies some pressure. I could care less about your sole ambition. Right now we need to head to the tower and pass these exams Naruto says. Sasuke winces and lets go but keeps up his glare, fine then, but we need another heaven scroll he says, but Naruto scoffs, pulling said scroll from his forearm. No we don't Naruto says and glances to Hinata, release his Tenketsu and let's head to the tower he adds and Hinata nods. Forest of Death Center Tower. TAM7+1 arrive at the tower about 3 hours later, stopping for breaks but not encountering any teams due to Naruto's clones and barrier. The group make their way through the hall and see a large sign, if qualities of heaven are what you desire. Acquire wisdom to take your mind higher. However if earthly qualities are what you lack. Train your body to attack. If heaven and earth are open together. The perilous path will forever Hinata reads. It could mean the scrolls Naruto comments, pulling both from pockets and tosses one to Hinata. Sasuke folds his arms as Naruto and Hinata open the scrolls, but smoke erupts from them, it's a summoning jutsu he says, and both toss the scrolls. Smoke erupts and reveals Shizune in a Chunin uniform, but her sleeves were longer, congratulations on passing the second round of the Chunin exam she states. How many other teams have passed Hinata asks. So far 5 teams have passed, but the Suna team passed in 97 minutes. Breaking the previous record but the shocking part was. One of them was completely uninjured Shizune explains and Naruto's eyes widen slightly. Putting that aside. The exams will end in another day. All teams not inside the tower will be disqualified. There are rooms on the several floors and a cafeteria Shizune explains, pointing to the stairs. Can we return to the forest Naruto asks, but Shizune shakes her head. No. All teams remain inside the tower until the round is finished Shizune states and Naruto slowly nods. Naruto-san one moment Shizune says and Naruto glances back, Anko Mitarashi is currently in the hospital. She was found in the forest. I thought you should know, she adds, and Naruto nods. Thank you. Oh, can you take Karen to Tsunade-sama? She's family, Naruto says, and Shizune furrows her brow. I'm in Uzumaki, Karen says, and Shizune's eyes widen a slight fraction, but nods. I'll take her and inform Sandai Misama, Shizune says, and places a hand on Karen's shoulder, and they vanish into Shunshin. Would you tell about that, Proctor? Because of those photos, Sasuke says, but Naruto ignores him and continues for the steps. Naruto rounds a corner and creates a clone, before erasing his presence with his barrier. I'll be back shortly, Naruto says and vanishes as the clone gives a thumbs up and follows his team to the 10th floor. Anko looks around in shock. Where am I, she whispers, seeing a sprawling mansion and garden. The last thing she remembers was fighting Orochimaru and him activating her curse mark. Then Naruto returning and saying he could save her but at a cost. Anko rubs her forehead with a sigh but senses someone, causing her to whip around. Ara. Very jumpy, a voice says. Out of the shadow emerges a petite girl with pale skin and large compound-looking snake-like eyes that do not possess pupils, only a haze of gradient, purple iris that becomes darker the lower it goes. Who are you, Anko questions, but the girl giggles, moving one of her hands. Her hair is shoulder-length that fades from black into dark purple-blue. Well, my name is, she says, and Anko furrow her brow, causing the girl to cover her mouth. Ara. You can't hear my name yet, she says, revealing more of herself. She wears a kimono with a snake pattern, which fades into a sky blue then pink down the sleeves, which were cuffed with a black and white dotted trim. So who or what, you, Anko questions, and the girl holds out a sword. The sword is a wakizashi with a coiled snake guard, its hilt silver and purple. I am a Zanpakuto spirit. Namely, your Zanpakuto spirit, but you can't hear my name just yet, the girl says. Anko's eyes widen and start to flicker, then Naruto, she starts, and the girl nods. He used his own power as the catalyst to awaken me, the girl says. Anko reaches for the sword but feels a pull, seems you awakening. Until next time, mistress, the girl says, waving. Anko slowly opens her eyes to the smell of medical cleaner and white ceiling. Anko. Thank Kami, Hana says, appearing in Anko's periphery. Tsunade approaches from the other side. You're very lucky and incredibly foolish to go after him alone, she says, sternly. Anko touches her left shoulder and feels burned skin. It's gone, she asks, and Hana nods. It is, and it was doing you more harm than anything. However, now that is gone. Your chakra pool will grow, Tsunade says and rubs her nose. So what happened? Sensei wants to know, Tsunade adds. Anko slowly sits up with Hana's help and a pillow. The other proctors found 3 bodies outside the gates. All of their faces skinned off. It was his Mo. I immediately asked them to alert the Sandaime and an Anbu team. I did act irrationally, but he has tormented my life for years. I needed to face him, she explains. Did he say why he infiltrated the exams, Tsunade asks. Anko reaches her shoulder, he never said. Someone or something attacked him and I lost consciousness, she replies. Tsunade bites her nail with a small growl. Therein lies a problem. I'll inform sensei. Maybe Jiraiya has something, she says and excuses herself. Hana rises from her seat and hugs Anko. I'm glad you're okay, she says. I may finally be free of him, Anko whispers, sniffling as Hana pulls away. Get some rest, alright, Hana says, and Anko slowly nods as the former excuses herself. Anko sighs and notices her hair was untied but blinks, sensing a presence and looks around. Your senses are awakening, Naruto says, appearing from thin air, and Anko gasps. Naruto closes the gap and pulls Anko into his chest. I'm glad you're okay, he whispers. I'm sorry for forcing you to save me and use your powers, Anko whispers. Naruto kisses the top of her head. You didn't, but it seems you met your Zanpakuto spirit, he says. I did, but I don't know her name yet, Anko says, as Naruto pulls back. Naruto ruffles his hair. That'll take time, but we can work on it, he says. I should get back. We passed the second round, Naruto says but smiles. 1 step, he says. Yeah, then we finally say it in public, Anko says and leans closer. I love you both, thought, sharing a loving kiss. HQ. Is that accurate, Dansum states. Across from him was Orochimaru in a sound Junin uniform, Kukuku. Indeed, he says. Dansum grips his cane. He's more powerful than anyone realized, he says. He's close to Junin in power or more. I was holding him back when we crossed path. His strange transformation has caught my interest. I don't believe it's the Kikbi. Perhaps an undiscovered Kekkei Genkai, Orochimaru states. Neither of his parents showed such an ability, but nothing is known about Minato's heritage, Dansum says. Orochimaru folds his arms with a chuckle. It's a shame I can't acquire his body, but Sasuke-kun will do nicely, he says. Are the preparations complete, Dansum asks, and Orochimaru nods with a grin. Yes. I will be impersonating Rasa and get close to sensei, but Tsunade will be an issue, Orochimaru says. Once the invasion commences, she will be occupied by the injured. I will keep my forces back and once Hiruzen dies, I will make sure I am named Godame Natsune Dansum states. Fukuku. Then I wait to see it. Godai Masama Orochimaru says, melting into mud. Dansum grips his cane and turns on his heels. Sai he says and Sai appears, begin surveillance on the Jinchuriki once more. During the month break I will personally meet with the boy he says, and Sai vanishes. I will have to use Shisui's eye to make him my servant Dansum thought, returning to his residence. Forest of Death Center Tower. Another day passes and all the Chunin hopefuls were standing in a large arena with balconies overlooking the floor and stone arms in a Ramson. Hiruzen stood with all the proctors and Junin for the teams, but Anko was missing. Congratulations on passing the second round of the Chunin exams. However, too many teams have passed this round, he starts. Too many? Only 8 teams passed of 26, Tamari thought. Hiruzen clears his throat, now with so many passing. We will have a preliminary round before final exam, but before that I will tell you the true purpose of the Chunin exams, he states. True purpose, Kiba says, and several murmur. Yes, the true purpose of these exams. Why do you believe we hold these exams with our allies and rival villages? Hiruzen starts, but no one answers. The simplest answer is to raise the skill level of our shinobi and promote friendship, but these exams are truly a representation of war between nations, he adds. What does that mean? Tenten comments. Proxy wars. These exams allow other nations to show off their power. The prelims will weed out the less strong, Naruto thought. Not long ago the others nations were jockeying for power and at the cost of our shinobi. However, these exams substitute those battles by having champions do battle in place of all-out war. These exams were created for that purpose, Hiruzen explains. So we're showing pride for our nations by fighting in these exams, Shizuma comments. Exactly. The third and final round of the exams will have many leaders and people of prominence from various nations attending as guests. Many may seek shinobi to work for them. These exams can guide the future of your ninja career. These guests will gauge the strength of individuals but their nations as well. The stronger nation will be inundated with work and the opposite, as well as weaker nation requests will decline, Hiruzen states. Then why is it us that have to risk our lives, Kiba says. Hiruzen blows a stream of smoke from his pipe. The country's strength is the village's strength. The village's strength is the shinobi's strength, and the true strength of the shinobi is achieved only in a life or death situation. This exam is a chance for each nation to show their power. Balance is preserved by fighting and dying. In the shinobi world it is friendship. The final round is fight for the pride of your village and your dreams at stake, he explains. Any test is fine. Just tell me the details of the exam. I can deal with anything you throw at me, Gaara says, and Hiruzen nods. Very well. I will now tell you what the third exam entails. Hiruzen starts, but another Junin appears. He is a young man with short brown hair, dark color eyes and dark markings under his eyes. He is dressed in the standard Junin attire and a bandana hidate. Sandaemism, allow me. Hey, Jack Proctor of the third exam to speak first, he says, and Hiruzen waves his hand. It's nice to meet you all. Hayate starts, but coughs a bit, as Sandaemisama said. Too many teams passed the second round. To make things more neat. We will have matches to determine the finals. This will no longer be team-based but individual-based. At random your names will be chosen. You will fight and the rules of the second round still apply, but if I tell you stop, you will, he explains. A large screen emerges from the wall and Hey clear his throat. Now if you feel you cannot go on. You may drop out now, he says. I wish to drop out, Kabuto says, raising his hand. Naruto's eyes narrow as Hayate crosses out Kabuto's name, so that's his game. He smells like snakes, and Orochimaru was here, he thought. Meaning he's a spy of some kind, Kurama states. Hayate coughs several times, alright due to his forfeit. Either one match will a three-way battle, or one gets a pass to the finals, he says, and several murmur. The board comes to life and cycles through names and stops on Sasuke and Yoroi. He is a young man, but his face is concealed by a mask around his mouth, sunglasses that obscure his eyes and a bandana hidate. He wears a high-collar, sleeveless purple shirt with a short sleeve, white one underneath, a simple obi around his waist, purple pants, blue sandals and purple fingerless gloves. The rest of you can observe from the balcony with your sensei, Hayate says, and everyone migrates to the balcony, leaving the pair in Hayate. Sasuke vs Yoroi Canon. Sasuke falls on his rear and clutches his shoulder as Yoroi lays motionless. I will make this power mine, he thought, as Hayate declares him the winner. Kakashi immediately shunshuns down, let's get that sealed up, he says, and both vanish into a shunshin. The board cycles again and it falls on Sakura and Ino, causing the pink cat to smirk as they made their way down. Ino has blank look on her face, but glances to Hinata and Naruto. Sakura turns her attention to Ino as Hayate declares a beginning to the match. You should give up, Inapig. I have already won. Sasuke-kun is mine, Sakura says, but Ino remains silent. This infuriates Sakura, and she shoots forward with side-to-side motion into a kick, but Ino dodges, countering with right punch. Sakura blocks and pushes forward a left into crouch and kick, but Ino jumps away, pulling 3 kunai. Sakura back jumps with a toss. Ino dodges one and catches the second to strike the third away, before rushing Sakura in a series of punches and kicks. Ino connects with a body blow that halts Sakura and allows her to connect for a punch, but a flash of their past only allows a harsh slap across the face. Yes. You did win. Sasuke is yours, but that's not what this fight is about, Ino says. Sakura clenches her fist and touches her slapped cheek. You'll pay for this, she shouts and rushes Ino, but the blonde weaves out Sakura's reach. Seems the blonde took you advice, Kurama comments and Naruto shrugs. Ino back jumps with a toss of kunai as Sakura uses the clone jutsu. I can see through your illusions, Ino shouts and weaves several signs. Meijin Hinagasumi, Ino thought. Sakura freezes and gasps as she finds herself on a large flower petal. Jen, she shouts, but it's too late as the petal explodes. In the real world, Sakura collapses to her knees with a dazed look and falls face down. Winner Ino Yamanaka hate declares. Kurenai sighs and covers her face as Asuma snickers. Point to me, he muses. Half point, has Ino used one of my jutsu, Kurenai comments. Asuma shrugs his shoulders with a puff of smoke. Point taken, he says. I'm curious why Ino changed, Kurenai says, and Asuma points his thumb at Naruto. He told her and Sakura some truths. I explained further and it seemed to click for her. Coupled with the fact that the Uchiha is hanging around her, Ino Asuma explains. The medical team takes Sakura to the medical wing as the board cycles through the names, stopping on Haku and Zaku. Haku makes his way down to the arena floor as Zaku does the same, but his eyes were Naruto. Look like you broke his jaw, Kurama comments. Haku pulls out several senbon as Zaku glares. You should surrender. You're injured. I do not wish to harm you, he says. Zaku sputters, despite his broken jaw. Hayate raises his hand to begin the match as Zaku raises his hand to fire his Zanpakuto, but Haku breaks left, firing his senbon. Zaku garbles out as several senbon hit his arm. Haku quickly flashes several signs to ram, Hijutsu Makam Heimshima, he thought, creating his ice mirror. Many of the genin gasp and murmur, save Naruto, Tenten and Hinata. I'll end this, Haku says. Zaku.s as senbon erupt en masse from the mirrors and pierce his body, dropping him to his knees, but couldn't stay standing. Haku emerges from the mirror as they come down with a sigh. Winner Haku Yuki Mamachi Hate declares. Miss Yumi vs Kankurokan and Shikamaru vs Kinkanen. The next match is Tamari no Sabaku vs Tenten Higurashi Hate declares. Tamari floats down using her fan, and Tenten makes her way down. This is a bad matchup for you, Panda. Tamari is a Futon user and looks very skilled, Naruto thought. Hayate begins the match and Tenten back jumps, causing Tamari to smirk. You simply want to observe. Seems you're skilled enough, Tamari remarks. Tenten leaps and fires a barrage of shuriken, but Tamari blocks with a flare of her Futon chakra. I thought I would have some fun with you, but you are below my expectation, Tamari says. Tenten glares at Tamari and sprints around into a leap as she grabs 2 scrolls, smshmirk, she shouts, and a large puff smoke erupts. Tenten begins a furious barrage of weapons, but Tamari opens her fan to reveal 2 moons, before slapping away all the weapons away. One more moon and you're finished, Tamari shouts. Tenten unfurls ninja wire from seals on her fingers to grasps all the weapon into full spin, but Tamari counters with her fan now at 3 moons. Tenten lands with a slide, but struggles to her feet and smears blood on her right forearm. The Kusarigama appears from a puff of smoke, and Tenten flings the blade towards Tamari, and she blocks but not the steel ball, striking her shoulder. You won't be able to swing your fan with ease now, Tenten remarks and sends the blade once again, but Tamari dodges. Don't underestimate me. You've seen 3 moons. Now it ends, Tamari says, preparing her fan. However, Tenten quickly flashes signs to Dragon. I hope this works, she thought, and slams her hands on the floor. Brayton Jabashi, Tenten shouts, creating a surge of lightning towards the blonde, but Tamari swings her fan. Ninten Kamitachi, Tamari thought, swinging a swirling vortex. Tenten cries out as she's lifted from the ground, but tosses her chain towards Tamari. Reach, she thought, but Tamari adds more wind, knocking it off course. The vortex cuts Tenten in numerous spots and Tamari smirks, folding her fan. The match is over, she says, waiting for Tenten to crash on it. However, Naruto appears on the fan and catches Tenten in his arms, much to interest of those attendants. Quite sad. Kano has Kunoichi are a joke, Tamari says but gasps, seeing the look on Naruto's face. The blonde drops to the floor as Hate calls the match as Tamari watches him head to Mednon. It was like Gaara, Tamari thought, walking back up to her brothers. Lee quickly drops down to check on Tenten as Naruto reaches the medical teams and some proctors remove the stray weapons. Why would Naruto save her, Ino asks. Who knows? Tenten did react to those photos of Naruto that Proctor had. Maybe they are together, Kiba says, and their sensei sigh. Shikamaru glances to the blonde as he makes his way back up, or maybe both he thought. Naruto-kun, Lee says, and Naruto eye smiles. It's fine, Lee, Naruto says, making his way to his team. Seem you were correct. Panda girl is a long-range fighter. Which is useless if you can't reach your opponent. The sand girl's futon is impressive as well. She could compete with you, Kurama comments. She relies on her fan. We'd need to see how she fights without it, Zetsu chimes in. We may get to put it to the test in the finals, Naruto thought. He makes it back to Hinata and leans on the wall with his arms folded. I hope Tenten will be okay, she says. She will. Tenten is a tough girl, Naruto muses. A few minutes pass and the board cycles again as Kakashi returns without Sasuke. Where's Sasuke, Hinata asks, but as her name comes up with Kiba. Yahoo! It's our turn, Kiba shouts and Akamaru barks. Naruto places a hand on her shoulder. Show Neji your medal, he says, and Hinata nods. The pair make their way down. Don't worry, Hinata. I won't hurt you too bad, Kiba says, placing Akamaru down. Hajime Hate shouts. Hinata activates her Byakugan and slips into her Juken stance as Kiba lowers himself. Beast mimicry all fours jutsu, he shouts, becoming more feral. Kiba rockets forward with a barrage of swipes, but Hinata dodges with flowing movements and strikes Kiba in the stomach with a palm strike. Kiba backpedals with a rub of his stomach. She dodges me with minimal effort. Hinata's gotten stronger, he thought, shooting ahead. On the balcony, Neji watches with disgust on his face as Hinata weaves in and out of Kiba's strikes. That is not the proper Juken. Why do you continue to defy fate? I thought we would fight and I would lay you low at my feet, but the possibility still remains, Neji thought. Let's go, Akamaru, Kiba shouts, tossing him a pill. Akamaru turns red and changes into a copy of Kiba. Both rush her from each side, but Hinata counters with several precise strikes and blocks with a knee. What? She used her legs. I thought the Juken wasn't like that, Ino shouts. Kiba and Akamaru backpedal as Hinata stood with her knee raised and her Juken ready. Here I come, Kiba-kun, Hinata says and sprints forward. Kiba and Akamaru ready themselves, but Kiba gasps and dodges a water whip. She can do that too, he thought, as they break right and left. Hinata turns on her heel and closes the gap with Akamaru, striking him softly and halting his transformation. Akamaru. Alright, Hinata, take this. Gatsuka, Kiba shouts, spinning like a tornado. Peyton, Hinata thought, spinning like a top and tanking Kiba's attack. He lands with a skid as Hinata stops spinning, but she sprints forward and strikes Kiba in the arms and chest. Acha. Looks like I'll lose this. Proctor, I forfeit, Kiba declares. Don't worry, Kiba-kun, your Tenketsu will open in a few hours, Hinata says, offering her hand. Kiba gets to his feet and shakes her hand. You've gotten stronger, he says, and glancing to Naruto, I can see why, he thought. Neji vs Shinji wins obviously. The next match is Bunten Kurisuke vs Naruto, Uzumaki Hei declares. Lee falls to his knees with River of Tears, but Guy touches his shoulder. Don't worry, Lee. Your time will come and everyone will see the power of your youth, he says. Yosh, I will shine like the sun, Guy-sensei, Lee shouts and turns to Naruto. So will you show your brightness in your match. Naruto-kun, he adds. Naruto turns his head to Lee. Huh. You say something, Lee, he says, and Lee balks. Kakashi places a hand on Naruto's shoulder with a thumbs up as Guy and Lee rant about hip rivals. Be on guard. She fought in the Civil War and is related to a former member of the Seven Swordsmen of Mist, Kakashi states, and Naruto nods before making his way down. Hiruzen watches Naruto come down and lowers his hat. Naruto-kun. How much will you show, he thought. Bunten stood with a confident look on her face and a katana secured to her waist and her Jinbei Ori draped on her shoulders. Naruto has Zetsue secured to his lower back and his eyes closed, but internally he was excited to test more of his sword skill. Hajime Hei shouts and Naruto opens his eyes. Bunten quickly drives her sword into the floor. Reizumi Kazuchi no Yuta, she shouts, as lightning erupts towards Naruto. He quickly draws Zetsue and uses his Shukuchi to break right to avoid the lightning and closes the gap with Bunten, but she switches with a Mizabunchen. Looks like I'll get to have some fun with you, tree hugger, Bunten says. Shizuma cups his chin and thought, he's quite skilled, that was the reducer of technique. There may be some truth to him fighting Zabuza-sama, he thought. Naruto-kun has improved, I feel, Haku says, and Zabuza scoffs. Be better, I want my rematch, Zabuza comments. Raiden Reikik, Bunten shouts, firing several orbs, but Naruto dodges and even cuts some. Naruto emerges from the small dust cloud with a Gatatsu thrust, but only hits Bunten's Jinbei Ori. Your mind, Bunten shouts, aiming for Naruto's head and connects, but Naruto pops into a puff smoke. Bunten gasps and gets her sword up as Naruto connects with an overhead strike, sending a jolt through her body, and she nearly buckles. It felt like a two-hand strike, Bunten says. Naruto pushes on Zetsue and causes Bunten to slide, but he switches to a flurry of strikes. Bunten parries as best as she can, but Naruto is relentless. Rejeki no Yoroi, she shouts, erupting with lightning, and halts Naruto to slash him across the chest. How do you like that, Bunten shouts, as Hinata and Haku gasp. Are you happy, Naruto says, speaking for the first time, and Bunten furrows her brow. Naruto rips open his shirt and shows unharmed body. Are you happy you ripped my shirt, he says, and Bunten's eyes widen. Impossible. I know I cut flesh, Bunten thought, but her breath hitches as Naruto is in front of her with his sword arcing towards her. Bunten quickly gets her sword up, but it shatters from Naruto's swing, shocking many in attendance. Bunten staggers back with a lock of shock, but Naruto knocks her out with a chop to the back of her neck. Winner Naruto Uzumaki Hayate announces. Yes, he will prove my existence, Gaara thought. It seems he will be pleasing, praised Shizuma. However, many of the Konoha shinobi that knew Naruto were shocked. Hinata was Naruto the strong, Ino states. Mendakuse. I guess Naruto proved you wrong, Ino Shikamaru states. Medical takes Bunten, and the board cycles through once again as it stops on Gaara and Lee. Yash, my youth can burn brightly, Lee roars, and Gaara simply shunshuns to the floor. Lee versus Gaara Kanansori. By virtue of the board, Dosu Kanuta will pass to the finals, and the final match will be Shizuma Hoshigaki versus Shino Aburam, Hayate says, and Dosu smirks. Naruto leans on the railing as Shizuma makes his way down, getting a look at his sword. The sword itself resembles a large katana, within a sleek dark blue sheath, and Kiri's symbol stamped on it. The guard is shaped like a shark tooth, with the hilt being blue and white. Shino makes his down and the two stand face to face. You don't seem like good prey, Shizuma says. Hajime Hayate states. Shino raises his arms as Kakashi emerges. Shizuma draws his sword, revealing shark scales on the back of the blade, but the blade itself being black. You are not proper prey. No point in dragging this out, Shizuma says and shoots forward. Shino readies his swarm, but his eyes widen as Shizuma was behind him. Suddenly his chest opens up with a spray of blood. Shino collapses to one knee as his swarm works to close his wound. Blood is in the water, and my Samakiba is hungry, Shizuma says, flicking the blood off and raises his sword, but halts, sensing Kai directed at him. Shino collapses as Hayate rushes to him. Winner Shizuma Hoshigaki, he declares, before calling for the medics. The Konoha rookies were concerned for Shino, but Kurenai was the most upset, shooting a look to Zabuza. Gee. Don't blame me for his actions. The kid fought in the Civil War. His bloodlust is not normal, Zabuza says. About 20 minutes pass and Hayate calls all the winners to the arena floor except Sasuke. Now that the preliminaries have concluded, you will now choose lots, Hayate explains. Each Genin and Kakashi for Sasuke choose their numbers, but soon reveal them. The number you matched with is your opponent for the third round of the exams, Hayate explains and coughs several times. The matches will be Niji Haika versus Hinata Haika. Tamari no Sabaku versus Shikamaru Nara. Kankram no Sabaku versus Dosu Kanuta. Ino Yamanaka versus Haku Mamachi. Sasuke Uchiha versus Gaara no Sabaku, and lastly Naruto Uzumaki versus Shizuma Hoshigaki, Hayate adds. Hiruzen clears his throat to get their attention. The finals will take place 1 month from now. All ninja from foreign lands will be allowed to use specific training grounds, but you will be watched by Anbu for security reasons. I wish you all luck, he says and vanishes via Shunshin. Hinata glances to Niji, and he has a dark look on his face, but eeps as Naruto places hand her shoulder. Looks like you get your wish and on a grand stage, Naruto says, and Hinata slowly nods. Niji glares at the pair. In 1 month. I will show you that fate is my side, he thought, leaving with his team. Shizuma approaches Naruto with a smirk on his face. I look forward to see if you are worth prey, he says, but leans closer. Your Kai was quite precise. Impressive, Shizuma adds, turning on his heels and following his team. Kakashi approaches with an eye smile on his face. Congratulations on passing to the third round, he says. Will you be helping us train for the month, Kakashi-sensei, Hinata asks, but Kakashi sighs. Unfortunately, no. I will training Sasuke for his match with Gaara. However, I have set up teachers for you. Hinata will be training with Shizune, and for you, Naruto. Your teacher will meet you in 2 days at the hot springs and be very respectful with him, Kakashi says, and both nod. Naruto plops on the sofa with a drawn-out sigh. A month of waiting, he thought, but Kurashiro barks, getting his attention, and he pulls her up on the sofa. She whines and micro-bites his fingers. I know, but they should release her later today, Naruto says, and she barks. Naruto took a quick nap with Kurashiro on his chest, but she fidgets and wakes him up, what he says, but Kurashiro whines. Alright, Naruto says, letting down, and she runs to her puppy corner to do her business. Naruto sits up and grabs a bag of .y, but whines catch his ears. You are so spoiled, he says, give her a piece. Naruto and Kurashiro finish the bag and she goes to sleep almost immediately. Good, now I can go see Anko and Tenten, he thought, going to get dressed. He dresses himself in shorts and a high-collar shirt with running shoes before leaving a bone for his pupper. Naruto leaves the apartment and makes his way towards the hospital, but could feel someone on the edge of his senses. They're back on you again, Zetsue says. Must have had eyes in the second round, Kurama comments. Naruto pockets his hands and takes to the roofs. Dansum is fishing again. He dares. He dies, he thought. Yufufu. I look forward to it, Kurama says. Naruto arrives at the hospital and makes to Tenten's room, finding sitting on the edge of her bed. Her brown hair was down, wearing some casual clothes, but he could see the bandages on her body. Naruto, Tenten says, rubbing her left arm. Naruto closes the gap with a sigh. How are you feeling, he says. I'm alright. Just my wounded pride, Tenten says. Naruto sighs as Tenten rests her head on his chest. She was a bad opponent for you, but you did the best you could, he says. Tenten looks up with a few tears in her eyes. Still. I heard what she said, she whispers, but Naruto strokes her cheek. So what? Even if she thinks our Kunoichi are weak. Then pick yourself up and grow stronger. Did I become strong in old life in one day or one battle? No, I trained my .off, Naruto says. Still, Tenten whispers and Naruto moves her chin to look him in the eyes. Tenten, you can grow stronger. Just find your niche and excel, Naruto says. Tenten sighs and pulls back from Naruto. Thanks. Would you help me train when we're not on mission, she says. Sure, Naruto says, giving her a soft kiss. Tenten pulls back with a blush as Naruto smiles. Are you ready to be discharged, he asks, and she nods. Let's go pick up Anko, Naruto says, and Tenten nods, grabbing her things. The pair make their way to Anko's room but found Kurenai and Hana already there. About time, Narukin. Anshin wants to leave. Hey panda, Anko comments and Hana snorts. Naruto sighs and ruffles his hair. Well, I'm here now. How are you feeling? I was worried, he says. I'm feeling better. So how did you do in the second round, Anko says, trying to play off they have seen each before today. I got my dot handed to me by a bitch from Suna, Tenten says, and Naruto sighs. We passed after a day, and I faced a Kunoichi from Kiri named Bunten Kurisuki, and I'm facing her teammate Shizuma Hoshigaki in the finals, Naruto says, and sees the dark look in Kurenai's eyes. How is Shino? Kurenai-sensei, Naruto asks. He woke up about an hour ago and he's stable. Sanada-sama was able to heal his wound, but he'll be in the hospital a few more days, Kurenai replies. Don't worry, Nani. You too, panda. Narukin will pay them in spades, Anko comments. We're just about to discharge her. When you came, Tsunade says, walking in, and Anko smiles. Did you see Karen, Naruto asks, and Tsunade nods, giving Anko her papers to sign. I did. I spoke to sensei, and I agreed to take Karen into the Senju clan until you become clan head. We might get some flack from Kusa, but frankly I could care less. Karen told me how they treated her and her mother, Tsunade replies. How did they treat her, Hana asks. Tsunade sighs and rubs her eyes. Karen and her mother were born with special chakra. By biting them, they can heal injuries. You can imagine what would happen, she says, and Hana's eyes darken. So they just used her mom and her as walking healers, Hana says, and Tsunade nods. Yes. Her mother was used until she died, and Karen was on that road as well, Tsunade says, taking Anko's papers. Anyway. She's at the Senju compound if you want to see her, Tsunade says and excuses herself. Naruto-kun, who will be training you for the finals, Kurenai asks. Hakusho-sensei got me someone. I'll meet them tomorrow. Did Hinata come see you, Naruto says, and Kurenai nods. She did. I don't know what I can teach her, but she did mention splitting time with Shizune, Kurenai says. Anko finishes putting on her boots and slips on her coat. Stop worrying about that. I want some dango, she chirps, and all of them laugh. The group leaves the hospital, but Kurenai and Hana break off, leaving the trio to walk home. I'll see you later. Dad's probably worried, Tenten says and kisses Naruto on the cheek before leaving. Kiki panda, Anko says, puffing her cheek. Anyway, how are you feeling, Naruto asks. Anko opens and closes her left hand. My control is out of whack, and Sanada-sama said that my reserves will grow, she says. We'll need to work on your Reiatsu too. I placed a limiter seal on you to block it for now, Naruto says, and Anko nods as they arrive at the dango shop. Hey, I'll be right back, Naruto says, and Anko nods, ordering several helpings of dango. Naruto quickly takes to the roofs and finds his stalker waiting in one of the training grounds, but it was Sai. Why are you following me, Naruto says, and Sai only smiles. Music Dansum theme, Naruto asked. Forgive him. I wish to meet you, and I sent him to observe you both times, a voice says, and Naruto glances back to see Dansum. He dared, Kurama states. Naruto fully turns to the older man. Who are you, sir, he asks. My name is Dansum Shimura. A member of the advisory council for the Hokage, Dansum states. Why does a member of the advisory council wish to observe me? A lowly genin, Naruto says, glancing to Sai, but neither noticed the flash in Naruto's eyes. I already know you are aware of your burden, boy. I have come here to offer you a place in my net to bring about your true potential, Dansum says, trying to influence Naruto. Naruto questions. Dansum moves closer to Naruto. No works in the shadows and protects the great tree, he explains. Surely you only wish me to join because I am a Jinchuriki. Dansum-san, Naruto says, his eyes half open. Indeed, this boy is nothing like his profile, Dansum says, and open his visible eye, surely you know. You will never receive a fair shake as a Jinchuriki and never reach your true potential in the normal ninja corporation, he says. I also know you are a Futon user. A rarity in Fire Country. I too am a Futon user and can teach you much, Dansum adds. Naruto pockets his hand and slowly walks past Dansum. I see. Well, I may consider it, Dansum-sama, he says, walking away. Will he join, Dansum-sama, Sai says, once Naruto was gone. Dansum lowers his head to hide the smirk on his face. Yes, the Jinchuriki is now mine to control, he says, both completely unaware that they have sealed their fates. Music ends. Next day. Naruto sighs as he makes his way towards the hot springs, his encounter with Dansum still weighing on his mind. You know, I look forward to what you do to him, Kurama comments, and Naruto chuckles. I'll need to find his base first. Once I do. Dansum and all his forces are going to learn it's never wise to pick a fight with a Kenpachi, Naruto thought. So Narukin. Who did Scarecrow get to train you, Anko comments, Dango stick in her mouth. Naruto shrugs his shoulder but stops as he hears giggling, but not normal giggling. What is that, he thought. Well. I'm going soak. Catch you later, Panda should be waiting for me, Anko says, kissing his cheek and skipping off. Naruto reaches the bridge to the bathhouses and the giggling gets louder. What the hell is that, he thought, but his senses pick up something. He looks towards the largest tree and his eyes narrow before walking over and kicking the tree. The figure falls out but launches away to land on the bridge as Naruto stares. Who are you, old man, he shouts. He managed to sense me, Jiraiya thought, and whips his hair. I am glad you asked. I am Mountain Toad, sage of Mount Mamboku. Known through the east, west, south and north. Jiraiya the gallant, he declares, doing a kabuki dance. Ah, so? So why were you in the tree, Naruto says, and Jiraiya nearly falls. I was doing research for my latest novel, Jiraiya says, and pulls out his Ichicha book. Naruto's eyes widen and quickly narrow. So you're the smut peddler. So research is peeking on women, he shouts. It's not smut, Jiraiya fires back, but freezes as Naruto's brow creases and a scowl forms. You're a dot and you're peeking on girls. Meaning you were gonna peek on Anko and Tenten, Naruto says, as this red aura surrounds him. Jiraiya's eyes widen in horror as Naruto stands before him. Kami, it's Kushina all over again, he thought. Ah. A pervert. Where? Ah, several voices shout. Jiraiya.s and rushes towards Naruto to cover his mouth. I'm not just a pervert. I'm your sensei for the month, he says. Oh really, Iro-sen, and Naruto says, his voice muffled, and Jiraiya shakes his head. Yes. Yes. Now follow me, Jiraiya says and shunshins them away as numerous women appear with weapons. The pair reappear in the forest near a large stream and Naruto slaps Jiraiya's hand from his mouth. So you're the sensei. Kakashi-sensei lined up for me, Naruto says, and Jiraiya puffs up his chest. A dotty adds and Jiraiya deflates. I'll have you know, Gaki. I trained the Yondaime Hokage, Jiraiya shouts. So you taught Dad, Naruto says, and Jiraiya puffs up again. That right, Gaki. I taught your father, Jiraiya says, but freezes and gawks at Naruto. The blonde shrugs his shoulder as Jiraiya shakes his fingers. I know, he shouts, and Naruto nods. Jiraiya quickly clears his throat and remembers his sensei told him that. Oh ho. Okay, so first. I need to see your seal. Sensei told me that it loosened in Nami, he says. Naruto sighs and takes off his kung fu shirt and undershirt, then channels his chakra to make the seal appear. Jiraiya squats down to inspect the seal. The seal is still in perfect shape, but it indeed loosened, he thought, rising to his feet. From what Kakashi has told me. You quite skilled and have 2 chakra natures. Even pretty good in Kenjutsu. So we'll mainly work on fine-tuning and I'll teach 2 skills. Summoning and the Yondaime's signature, the Rasengan, Jiraiya explains. What about Kenjutsu? I learned most of what's in the shinobi library, Naruto says, and Jiraiya's breath hitches. I did. Good, we can work on that too, Jiraiya says and bites his thumb, running the blood across his right hand and doing several signs, but ends in sheep. Fuchius no Jutsu, Jiraiya shouts and slams his hand on the ground, creating a large puff of smoke and a large toad appear with a scroll. Sign your name and blood and repeat the hand seals you saw, Jiraiya explains. Naruto unfurls the scroll and sees several names including his father, biting his thumb, and quickly signs the contract. Naruto slowly does the signs and slams his hand. Kuchius no Jutsu, he thought, and a puff of smoke erupts. It dissipates to reveal a small orange toad with purple markings around his eyes, mouth and stomach with a dark blue vest. What's up? I'm Gamakichi, the toad says. Naruto picks up Gamakichi. I'm Naruto Uzumaki, he says. Impressive on your first try, but I want to use more chakra this time, Jiraiya says. Naruto lets Gamakichi down and he hops onto Jiraiya's shoulder. Naruto draws on Kurama's chakra and bites his thumb again. Kuchius no Jutsu, he thought, and a huge amount smoke erupts. Jiraiya's eyes widen as Naruto was standing atop a giant magenta-colored toad with black markings on his face, arms, and legs with horn-like protrusions on his head. He wears a black kimono with a white sash and mesh armor underneath, carrying a Sakazuki-like shield wrapped around his back and his Sasamata in his hand. He summoned Gamaken on his second try. Minato, your son will shatter every perception. Could he be? Jiraiya thought. Jiraiya-sama, did you summon me? I'm not very graceful, but I can assist you, Gamaken says. Sorry Gamaken, but it's the gaki on your head that summoned you, Jiraiya shouts, adding chakra to his voice. Naruto moves down to give Gamaken a better look at him. Arasenin is correct. I'm Naruto Uzumaki, he says. I see. Welcome to the Toad clan. Summon me if needed for battle, but I'm not very graceful, Gamaken says, and lets Naruto down, before dispelling. That's enough for today. I'll start teaching you the Rasengan tomorrow. I need some supplies, Jiraiya says, and Naruto slowly nods, as Gamakichi jumps down. See you Naruto, Gamakichi says and dispels. Jiraiya reaches in his pouch and hands Naruto a book. You can start on this as well, he says and vanishes. Veil of Shunshin. Advanced Kenjutsu, Naruto says and thumbs the book quickly but creates numerous clones. Search the village and find Danzum's base, Naruto says, and the clones vanish. This is more advanced than what is in the library, Naruto thought, leaping through the trees. Kenjutsu is a lost art. Your panda uses it to use her weapons, but most shinobi don't use it. It's about flashy jutsu. However, your parents used it. That's why it's easy for you. You should convince that old man to allow you to go to Izushio. The Uzumaki birthplace, Kurama states, as Naruto picks up the speed into Shunpo. He arrives back at his apartment and finds Anko inside. So did you meet your temporary sensei, she asks. Yeah, I did, and it's Jiraiya of the Sannin, but he's a shameless. Naruto says and Anko giggles. But he let me sign the Toad contract and taught me to summon. He even plans to teach me the Rasengan invented by Dad, Naruto says and Anko gasps. That will really make the villagers flip out, Anko says and Naruto nods, pulling her wakizashi from the seal on his hand. Anko slowly takes the sword and it feels right in her hands. I'll have to get Ikeni to help me with Kenjutsu, she says. We should also work on using your Riatsu too. It's no different than chakra, but it can kill if you're not careful, Naruto says. The real Anko says and Naruto slowly nods. Yeah, come on. I'll show you, Naruto says and Anko nods. We'll be back, Kurashiro, Anko shouts and Kurashiro barks. The pair quickly make their way to the Forest of Death and he puts up his barrier. Naruto opens his kung fu shirt, pulls down his undershirt and channels his Riatsu, causing an Old English 6 appear on his left pec. This seal acts as an limiter known as Gentari plus N. I managed to recreate it with Kenjutsu. This suppresses my Riatsu, and I put the same on you until we could be in a controlled environment, Naruto explains. Okay, first I want you to picture yourself on an ocean. Then focus on your center to create ripples. Stronger the ripple and more power you can draw, Naruto explains and puts 2 fingers on her stomach, releasing her seal. Anko closes her eyes and pictures the ocean, but gasps seeing the girl from before. We meet again, she says. Yeah. So try your name again, Anko says, and the girl giggles. My name is, she says, and again Anko furrows her brow. No go again, but it will come soon. Now that we together again. We will become more in tune and my name with come, she adds. Outside, Naruto notices Anko's Riatsu starting to pulse with a purplish color as Anko opens her now glowing eyes. How do you feel, Naruto asks. Anko holds up hands and feels power rippling through her body. Weird. It's like I'm overflowing with energy, she says. That's why I unsealed it inside my Rikmashmiki. Unrestrained Riatsu can harm living things around the user, Naruto says, pointing to his own seal. This seal limits nearly 80% of my Riatsu at a time. If I used my full Riatsu, I could probably kill everyone in Konoha, Naruto add, and Anko's eyes widen. The real Anko says and Naruto places his hand on the seal, causing it to fade some. Suddenly a thunderous explosion of power erupts as a purplish black aura forms around him, causing Anko to fall on her rear with wide eyes. Naruto restrains himself and the 6 comes back fully. See what I mean? Unlike most, I can draw out my Riatsu faster than anyone, he says, reaching out his hand. Anko takes his hand and shakingly gets to her feet. I see. So how do I stack up in terms of you, she asks. An unseated officer, but your Riatsu will continue grow as time passes and you'll learn your Zanpakuto's name. When I made you a Sauripper, I placed the same seal on you, Naruto says. Anko lifts her shirt and sees a 6 surrounding her belly button, but only an outline. How did you make this, she asks. Kenjutsu, but instead of chakra. I used my Riatsu and it worked, Naruto says and places fingers on her seal and locking it up. For now focus on your getting your control back for your chakra and learning to use your sword, Naruto says. Anko pulls down her shirt. So what does the 6 mean, she says, as Naruto drops his barrier and they head home. It represents the mercenary group I was a part of. I was Roku or the Rakukager 6 shadows, Naruto explains. So my 6 signifies Anko says, and Naruto smirks. But you're very important to me, Naruto says, and Anko giggles. Alright Naruto. This is the Rasengan, Jiraiya says and holds out his left hand. A spiraling orb of chakra forms in Jiraiya's hand. It took the Yondaime 3 years to perfect this jutsu, he says, before slamming into a tree and ripping out a chunk out of it. Naruto whistles but looks down at the bag of water balloons. So what's with the balloons, he asks. That is the first step. Rotation. You have spinning the water inside, Jiraiya explains. Naruto picks up a balloon as Jiraiya turns on his heels. I'll check back in a week, he states. Aren't you gonna give tips, Naruto says. Jiraiya glances back with a smirk. You're a big boy. I won't hold your hand, he says, vanishing into smoke. Naruto sighs and takes a seat with his legs crossed as Zetsue manifests. Some sensei Zetsue comments and Naruto shakes his head with a sigh. This is better. I can do things my way, Naruto says, putting the balloon in his lap. Haju Kage Bunshin no Jutsu, Naruto thought, and creates 20 clones. Each of you take a balloon and start the rotation, he says, and all of them nod. Naruto unseals the book called The Tale of the Gutsy Ninja and starts to read through it. How are things on the Dansum and Kabuto fronts, Kurama asks. Naruto turns a page with a sigh. They found the base, but I want to know all exits and prepare accordingly. As for Kabuto, he hasn't slipped up yet, but he will sooner or later, he thought. Dansum will have contingencies. He pegs me as a paranoid bastard, Kurama, and Naruto chuckles. That will work out better. Because he's a paranoid bastard. I'll get my hands on evidence on his cohorts. He has pawns on the council. It would explain how my status got out. He wanted me isolated and driven towards him by choice, Naruto thought. His reach is like a root choking the tree. If he has pawns on the council and he is actually causing detrimental damage, Zetsue states, and both nod. The academy is a breeding ground for weakness. Civilians are thrown in, but the gap between them and clan children is obvious to some. They glorify shinobi as heroes saving princesses, and kunoichi should be demure and damsels. He'd uses that as means to tarnish Jiji and take over, Naruto thought. About hour passes and Naruto dispelled half his clones before picking up a balloon and trying the rotation. There must be more to this. Perhaps not just rotation but multiple rotations, Naruto thought, and made 10 more clones, dispelling the other original 5. This book is interesting but slightly flawed. Peace is good, but through understanding is not often the case. Some people will never understand, Naruto thought, continuing his book and his clones working. 1 week later. Naruto adjusts his mask and secures his gloves as he leaps through the woods. This will be first a step, he thought, creating numerous clones. Create Rikmashmiki and secure the escape's routes. Kill anyone and deposit their bodies inside the Garganta, Naruto signs, and the clones scatter. Naruto arrives at the entrance of Dansum's secret base. A week of planning, and we finally put an end to him, Kurama comments. Naruto rolls his neck and draws Zetsue from her sheath before slashing open the entrance. Deep within the base, Dansum makes his way on a bridge but stops at the intersection with his top soldiers FK and Torin flanking him. FK is young man with auburn hair and amber eyes. He wears a red short kimono under a black jacket with red straps, a black sash, a pair of black gloves, dark color pants, and regular shinobi sandals. Torin is a member of the Aburam clan and wears a high collar, all black outfit with a red sash around his waist and an apron over his pants, along with a short black jacket with red straps over the shoulders. Dansum Sai says, appearing and kneeling. Suddenly there were rumbles and small explosions, and intruder Sai says. Dansum grips his cane with an arrow of his eye. Is this you, Hiruzen, he thought. Secure the entrance and exit routes. I want this rat found and brought before me, Danzo says, and Sai vanishes. Should we prepare an exit for you, Danzo-sama, FK says. Music Fairy Tale Absolute Zero Silver Ost extended. Don't bother. All the exits have been sealed off, a voice says. FK and Torin quickly get in front of Dansum as Naruto emerges from the shadows. You're all going to die down here, he says, Zetsue dripping with blood. Who are you, Dansum says, dropping his cane. Naruto tilts his head but slowly shakes it. I told Sai. You would know how this ends, and we met just a week ago, he says, and rips off his mask. The Jinchuriki, Dansum says. Naruto slips the mask in his pocket. Yes, the Jinchuriki. I will admit it was clever to tip your hand and confront me in public, but you dared one time too many, he says. Dansum pulls his hidden arm out of his robe with 3 large locks surrounding it. You still came to me, boy. Now kneel, he states, using his hidden eye. Shadows cover Naruto's face, but he slowly reaches for his face and starting laughing. Your arrogance is amazingly astounding, Naruto says, his eyes starting to glow and his smile wide. The air around them starts to become heavy. You are a cancer on this village and this world. I didn't come here to kneel before you. I came here to wipe you from this world, Naruto says. It is you. Who is arrogant, boy? You trespass in my territory and dare to try and assassinate me. Hiruzen will not save you. The council will have your head and will call for him to turn you over to me, Danzum says, removing one lock. Torin slowly removes his gloves as his hands turn purple. Shall we secure him, Danzum-sama, he says. Do it. I will release the locks, Danzum says. Naruto sighs and drives Zetsue into the wood as Torin and FK launch towards, but Naruto simply points his left hand like a gun. Foolish, Naruto thought, and charges a purple Zero. Both men gasp, but it was too late as the Zero races them both and forcing Danzum to dodge right as it carves through the base. Now do you see the futility of your ways? As we speak, my clones are killing off your forces. By dawn there will be no more. Konoha and the world will be much safer, Naruto says. The remaining locks fall as do the bandages to reveal 10 Sharingan eyes on Danzum's fake arm with the indentation of a face on the shoulder. You've been keeping secrets even from Hiruzen. Is this your true nature or has the Kyuubi taken over, Danzum says. Naruto reaches for Zetsue but stops and instead flares his Ryatsu, causing Danzum to clutch his chest. However, the warhawk gasps as 4 of his Sharingan eyes close. Impossible. It took 4 Izanagi uses. What was that, he thought. Seems those eyes saved you from death. I sensed your death, but it quickly returned, Naruto says. Danzum shoots towards Naruto, but the blonde dodges and lands behind Danzum. Seeing as you're going, die, Danzum. I'll be cliché and tell you my plans, he says. Danzum takes a deep breath with several signs to stop a dog. Ton Shinka, he thought, spewing several wind orbs. Bank, Naruto says, and a clear wall forms, blocking the wind blasts. Akadem.61 Rikijum, Naruto adds, and Danzo.s as 6 rods of light pierce his body. Naruto produces a hidden knife and tosses it into Danzum's hidden eye. What you are experiencing is a binding technique, Naruto says. Curse you, boy, Danzum says, trying to use Izanagi, and it succeeds, but the Bakuden remains. Naruto smirks and tosses another knife up and down in his hand. It didn't just pierce your body, but your soul as well. You will not escape unless I break it, he says and flares his Ryatsu once again. Danzum grits his teeth as his heart seizes and 3 more eyes close. You should have been mine from birth, he hisses out. Yes. Your grand scheme. Having the most powerful Jinchuriki at your beck and call. Another reason to see you erased from this world, Naruto says, winging Danzum on the cheek. Naruto halts in his tracks and his clones inside the base dispel. Huh. I broke my record, he muses and rubs his head. Well, let's put an end this farce. Oh, I did say I would tell you my plan, Naruto says. Danzum struggles to free himself from the Rikijum. You won't get away with this, boy. I hold great influence in this village, he says. Naruto blinks in front of Danzum and grabs the older man by the throat. No doubt you do. However, as we speak, Sai is delivering all your secrets hidden in this place to the old man, he starts, and Danzum's eye widens. Naruto widens his left eye as a starred pinwheel forms. This how I corrupted your pet Sai and prevented you from taking control. Once he delivers those files, he'll commit immolation seppuku far outside the village, he says and relaxes his eye. You know what you have done. This file should never have seen the light of day, Danzum shouts and Naruto chuckles, turning on his heels. Indeed, all your dirty dealings. Something the old man cannot ignore. He suspects your little army isn't gone and will raid this place. He'll find nothing, of course, and will label you a traitor to Konoha and will want your head. Too bad you'll be dead already. Your legacy forever tarnished, Naruto states. Danzum grits his teeth in anger as Naruto turns towards him with a demonic smirk, accented by his Chelsea scar. You won't get away with this. Powerful forces are moving towards you, Danzum says. Naruto spreads his arms apart with another wide grin, then let them come. I am a Kenpachi. We do not shirk battle, he says and calls Zetsue to his hand. I hope they are worth to see my Zetsue's true face, Naruto adds, blinking forward and driving her through Danzo's throat. Danzum gurgles as Naruto twists the blade in his throat, but the blonde flares his power once more, closing all but Danzo's hidden eye. Impossible. How could this boy be some powerful, Danzum thought as Naruto yanks Zetsue from his throat. Naruto releases the Rikijum and Danzum falls to the ground clutching his bleeding throat. I only have Shisui's eye remaining. I'll need to try Kodamatsukami, he thought, ripping the bandage free, but Naruto countered by slashing Danzum's last Sharingan eye. Danzum releases a gurgled scream as he collapses to one knee. I won't die alone, boy. If you will not be my weapon. Then die, he shouts, his voice gargled and raspy. Danzum rips open his top as several seals form on his chest. How could I be forced to this by a child, he thought. You're a shishmfkin, Danzum shouts. A black-like substance erupts from Danzum, but his eye widens as Naruto vanishes and stands far above him. Take these words into your death. Konoha will remain strong. I will become the foundation of its strength and something that will never be able to ignore, Naruto shouts. A large orb forms around Danzum and dots everything in his vicinity into it, dropping Danzum's lifeless body to a lower bridge. Naruto drops down next to Danzum's body. I can sense a lingering chakra of Hashirama Senju Kurama comments. A shot aim. Then his body definitely needs to disappear, Naruto thought and snaps his fingers. The area next to them rips open to reveal the turbulent void as Naruto picks up Danzum. Is eyed forever in darkness, Naruto says, tossing Danzum's body inside, and the garganta snaps closed. The biggest obstacle in your life is now off the board, but I wonder about these powerful forces, Zetsue says, but Naruto chuckles. No matter. Let them come and see the power of the 11th Kenpachi, Naruto says, vanishing. What is the urgency of this meeting, Hikage-sama, Shikaku Nara says. He has 2 scars on the right side of his face, with dark hair tied up into a spiky ponytail, dark eyes as well as a goatee. He wears the standard Konoha attire and hand guards with pants wrapped in tape at the bottom and sandals. Hiruzen sits with a stack of papers in front of him and his face blank. All will be revealed soon, Shikaku, he says. Both the shinobi, civilian and advisory councils soon enter and take their seats. Thank you all for coming on such a short notice, but something has come up. Something that I can no longer ignore, Hiruzen states. What happened, Hikage-sama, Inoichi Yamanaka states. He has long ash blonde hair reaching into his lower back, spiky on top and ending in a long ponytail, light green eyes and strong facial features, which included a well-defined jawline. He wears a standard flak jacket over a black outfit, complete with handguards, hideate and a sleeveless red haori. This morning I found this stack of files on my desk and it concerns the one person missing from this room, Hiruzen says, causing concern with Hamura and Kaharu. Danzum-sama isn't here, one of the civilian council members says. This causes Shikaku to narrow his eyes. What are those files, he says. It seems Danzum has betrayed Konoha and has been for quite some time, Hiruzen says, shocking the room. Hiruzen, that is impossible, Kaharu shouts, but Hiruzen flares his kai. That is Hikage-sama. Everything is true. I sent 4 Anbu squads to his residence and his supposedly defunct base. They found nothing, Hiruzen explains. He abandoned Konoha, Chimza Akimichi says. He is a large man with naturally brown hair, but wears a long, spiky red hairpiece and purple markings on his cheeks. He wears a black suit complete with armor that has the kanji for food on it. He also wears a rope belt, handguards, and instead of a hideate and a hachimaki tied around his head. What's in those files, Tsume says. Hiruzen glances to the civilian council and some of them gulp, many things, but one concerns certain members of our council. Danzum used his status as a member of my advisory council to push through mandates that benefited them instead of the village. One of which is the academy, he explains and glances to his advisors. Danzum is responsible for many of the issues plaguing our country. He attempted to use Hanzum the salamander to assassinate me and is complacent in Orochimaru's experiments, Hiruzen adds, shocking many on the shinobi side. Then he could have allowed Orochimaru into the village, Inoichi says. Hiruzen rests his chin on his propped up hands, very plausible. I've sent word to our hunterman to be on the lookout for Danzum as an rank threat, but that could change, Hiruzen says, but waves his hand, causing several Anbu to appear. Take every member of the civilian council as well as Hamura and Kaharu to tea. Tell Ibiki to not hold back, Hiruzen orders. Hiruzen, what you doing, Hamura shouts. I'm fixing my mistakes. It's time the professor to retake his will of fire, Hiruzen states, and the shinobi side nod in agreement. Kaharu and Hamura struggle, but they and the civilian council are dragged out, leaving Hiruzen and the shinobi council. Who would bring us such information? Danzum's forces are loyal to him and him alone, Shikaku states. I will have Jiraiya look into it, but for now we will focus on the Chunin exams, and after that I will stepping down as Hokage and Tsunade will become Godame, Hiruzen says, shocking the council. However, suddenly Hade enters the room. Hikage-sama. I bring urgent news, he shouts, coughing several times. Speak, Hade, Hiruzen says, and Hade clears his throat. Last night I was tracking the Odo Genin Dosu Kanuda and he encountered Gaara no Sabaku. However, Dosu didn't survive, but one of our genin, Kabuto Yakushi, appeared and spoke to soon as Jonin Baki. I learned Orochimaru has plans for Sasuke and will abduct him. Worse, Kabuto Yakushi is Orochimaru's right hand. Hade starts and the room goes into shock. A spy in our ranks. He has taken the exam several times. Meaning he collected information on a host of shinobi, Inoichi says. We should arrest the brat, Tsume chimes in, but Hiruzen raises his hand and urges Hade to continue. Orochimaru is the ruler of Odo and has somehow convinced Tsunagakure to assist him in invading Konoha. However, before I could confront them or escape, I was regrettably knocked out and I awoke in my apartment, Hade says, looking down. You're lucky then, Hade. Baki of Suna is no pushover and you said Kabuto is Orochimaru's right hand, Shikaku says and glances to Inoichi. Can you read his memories to ascertain his attacker? Who we can assume is his savior, he adds. Inoichi nods and comes around the table to place his hand on Hade's head, but soon shakes his head. Nothing, but I confirmed that Kabuto Yakushi is a traitor and Suna has aligned with Oda Inoichi, says. Hiruzen lowers his head with a sigh. This is dire situation, but we can subtly prepare as to not tip them off. Shikaku develop a strategy and discuss it with only trusting Junin and Dragon, he says. Should we cancel the exams, Tsume says, but Hiruzen shakes his head. No, that would tip them off. The Godame Mizukage is coming as well, and she may assist us. As for Kabuto Yakushi, if an opportunity presents itself, he will be captured, Hiruzen adds, and everyone nods. Alright Naruto. Since you mastered step 1. You can move to step 2. Power, Jiraiya says, holding a rubber ball. Naruto sits on the ground with Gamakichi on his head and another toad named Gamatatsu. He is predominantly yellow in color with orange marking around his eyes and mouth. He also has 2 markings curving inwards on his stomach with a blue vest like Gamakichi. So another week then, Naruto says, but Jiraiya shakes his head. Sorry Gaki, but Sarita-sensei needs me for something. I won't be done until the finals, but I'll give you the third and final step. Control by combining the first 2 steps, Jiraiya explains. Naruto picks up a rubber ball, must be serious Irasenin. So any tips on my opponent, he says. If he is similar to Kisame Hoshigaki and his sword Samehada, he may absorb chakra, Jiraiya says, and Naruto cups his chin. Thanks for the tip Jiraiya-sensei, Naruto says. That's Irasenin, Jiraiya shouts, but Naruto snorts and Jiraiya realizes his mistake before shining away. The FFTT, that was funny, Gamakichi says. Hey friend. More snacks, Gamatatsu says. Gamakichi hops off of Naruto's head as the blonde makes 24 clones, same as before, but dispel in 2s every 2 hours, he says, and all of them nod. Naruto gets to his feet with a sigh. You two staying, he asks. Nah, we'll head back, but you gotta summon the old man to properly accept it, Gamakichi says, as the pair dispel. The warts are right. You need the boss summon to accept you. Use more my chakra to do it. We can work on both Kurama states. Naruto nods and rolls his left shoulder before using Shunpo to leave the village towards the east. What will the Hokage will do with Heiat's information, Zetsue comments, and Naruto remembers the previous night. Mini flashback. Naruto silently follows Kabuto, and the glasses-wearing traitor arrives near Kikome Castle, meeting of all people the Junin of Suna. He is a very tall man with 2 distinctive red markings on the right side of his face. He wears a turban-like headgear and by a sheet hanging from it on the left side of his face, with the standard attire of a Sunanin. Naruto was also treated to the side of Gaara killing Dosu, all I was looking forward to maybe fighting him again. So he thought. Someone else is here, Kurama says, and Naruto glances to a pillar, but furrows his brow. That's Gao's boyfriend, Naruto thought, but notices that Kabuto sensed him. Naruto drops down and erases Heiat's presence, but gives him a chop to neck before a clone pops to live. Take him to his apartment, Naruto says, and the clone vanishes before Naruto steps out the shadows, revealing himself to Baki and Kabuto. Naruto-kun. It's not nice to spy, Kabuto chides. Naruto pockets his hands with a glance to Baki. Hello Pot. My name is Kettle, but it does answer my question as to why you smelled of snakes, he says. Baki was about to attack Naruto, but Kabuto raises his hand to stop. No need, Bakusan. I will deal with him, he says, adjusting his glasses. See that you do, Baki says, leaving Viefton Shunshin. Kabuto smiles and chakra covers his right hand. Such a shame, Naruto-kun, but what you heard cannot be repeated, he says, shooting forward. Naruto slowly removes his hands from his pockets and sidesteps Kabuto's glowing hand, but grabs the arm between his right arm and his left grabs the arm. Naruto twists the arm as Kabuto struggles, but Naruto snaps the arm before being flinging Kabuto into a pillar, and Naruto connects with a straight kick to the chest. Naruto quickly connects with a barrage of punches to Kabuto's stomach and face before holding him up with his right forearm across his throat. Don't worry. I won't let you die yet, Naruto says, his eyes glowing in the dark. Kabuto struggles to heal himself, but Naruto applies pressure. I want you to take a message to your Snake of Master. He can have his invasion. Because I allowed. Konoha needs a wake-up call, and this will be the stone in the stagnant lake, he says, connecting with another body blow. Kabuto spits up some vomit and blood as he falls to his knees. What are you? You can't just be a Jinchuriki, he says. You're smart. Figure it out, Naruto, and vanishes, leaving Kabuto to languish and heal. End mini flashback. It won't matter in the end. I'll make sure the old man survives, Naruto thought, landing in front of a large ravine. Naruto slips out of his long-sleeve shirt and stretches some. Ready, Kurama, he says, and calls upon her chakra. Naruto bites his thumb and weaves the signs. Kuchius no Jutsu, he thought, before a huge burst of smoke. What the hell? Jiraiya, did you summon me? A voice shouts. Naruto finds himself atop a humongous toad of dull, rusty red tone, but around his eyes and on his lips and chest are brighter red markings. He wears a large blue happy vest that has the kanji for Ibi on the back and always carries a massive dosu blade at his hip. with a large Kiseru. No Gamabunta. I did, Naruto shouts, landing on his nose. Hahaha. You. Don't make laugh. Hahaha. Alright brat, I'll play with you. If you can stay on my back until sunset. I'll acknowledge that you summoned me, Gamabunta said and leaps skyward. Naruto maneuvers towards Gamabunta's back as the Toad Chief tries to shake him off for the next few hours, even diving and racing along a lake. Training Ground 33. Anko shouts, swinging left, but Ikgao blocks her strike. Anko moves right for a rear strike, but Ikgao parries. That sword suits you, Ikgao says, as both back jump. Yeah. I think it suits me, Anko says. It's essentially an extension of yourself, a voice says. Anko continues several strikes as Ikgao blocks and parries. Think so, she thought. Indeed. I may have been born recently, but I was born from you, the girl says. Alright Anko, that's enough for now, Ikgao says. Anko slides her sword into the sheath and wipes her brow. Thanks Ikki, she says, but Ikgao gets a coy look on her face. So the reason you are taking up Kinjutsu is because of Naruto-kun, Ikgao comments. Anko freezes with a spit take, seriously. No, I'm taking it up to get promoted, she says, but Ikgao shakes her head. Alright Anko-chan, but Naruto-kun is skilled in Kinjutsu. I wonder who taught him, Ikgao comments. The pair leave the training ground and head to the dango shop, meeting Hayate along the way. How are feeling today, Ikgao asks and Hayate coughs a bit. I'm alright, but I'll need to see Tsunade-sama about some treatment. So what were you two up to, Hayate says, as they take a seat. Anko has taken up Kinjutsu and I brought up Naruto. He carries a katana, but I wonder who taught him, Ikgao states. Hayate cups his chin and thought, I would agree. Naruto is indeed a skilled swordsman. His match with Bunten Kurasuki showed that. He used the reduced earth technique and managed to shatter her sword, he states. Reduced earth, Anko asks and Hayate coughs before drinking some water. Otherwise known as shukuchi. It's a samurai technique that allows the user to close the gap between them and their opponent. As if reducing the earth. I can use it but 7 steps short due to my illness, but before I could get 3 steps short, Hayate explains and Anko whistles. He told me he was self-taught, Anko says, and both their eyes widen. Not like I can say he is a master swordsman with centuries of experience, she thought. Why don't you ask him? He should be at training ground 43, Anko says. Hayate rises to his feet. That's fine, he says, and Anko gets up too. I'll go with you, Anko adds. I need to report in. Bye, Ikgao says, kissing Hayate on the cheek. The three part ways and the pair head to find Naruto, but find about a dozen clones. Hey Anko, and you're that Proctor, Hayate Jack-1 says, holding up a rubber ball. Hayate coughs with a nod. I am, but where's the original? I have a few questions, he says. He's trying to summon the Toad Chief Gamabunta, but we can answer some questions, another says. He signed the Toad contract. Meaning Jiraiya-sama took an interest in him, Hayate thought and coughs. That's fine. I would like to know where Naruto learned his Kinjutsu, he says. Self-taught from observation and reading various books on the subject. Like Taijutsu. It's a mixing of several styles, the first explains, and Hayate cups his chin. Then I wonder, is Naruto is a prodigy or a natural talent, Hayate thought and glances over the clones. That's interesting, but if he wants to spar. I'm more than willing to assist, he says. Sure, we'll pass it along, Hayate-san says and Hayate nods, into of Shunshin. Anko sighs and plops down next to the first Naruto. So what are you doing, she asks. Jiraiya-san is teaching us the Rasengan Clone, says. Anko gets to her feet with a stretch. Well, I'm heading home. Tell Naruto to bring home food, she says and leaps off. Time slowly passes and sunset soon comes as Gamabunta lands near in a large lake. What's your name again, Gaki, he shouts. Naruto Uzumaki, Naruto declares. Gamabunta scoffs with another leap skyward, but Naruto holds the course. You're pretty obstinate, Gaki, he shouts, landing. So I'll accept you as one of my minions, Gamabunta says. Naruto slides down to his eyes. Thank you, Oyabun, he says, leaping to a tree. Have some sake for me when you summon me again, Gamabunta says and dispels in a huge puff of smoke. Naruto drops down, but groans as the last of his clones dispel. What to get for dinner, he thought. 1 week before finals. The sound of punches and kicks echo through a training ground. Its owners were Naruto and Hinata. Kurenai, Anko, Kurashiro, Tenten, Shizune and Kiba were watching the pair spar, but the latter was gawking. Suiten Tepndama, Hinata thought, firing several water orbs. Naruto swats them with several rapid jabs, but Hinata closes the gap, forcing him to dodge a palm strike, but counters with a snapping jab. Hinata narrowly dodges the strike, but it was a feint and she ducks under a right straight. I'm Kurenai shouts. Hinata wipes her brow as Naruto rolls his neck. I could feel your strength increasing, he says. The eyes. Shizune-san and Tsunade-sama are helping me, Hinata states and blushes. It's also helping those two jutsu, she adds. Naruto ruffles his hair as they make their way to the others. Niji will be in for a hell of a fight, he muses. He deserves a wake-up call, Tenten comments. Geez. Hinata, when did you get strong? Kiba shouts and Hinata pokes her fingers, glancing to Naruto. I want to show my family I can be strong, Hinata says. Anko and Tenten smirk as Anko approaches Naruto. I think you can, she says, winking. I wonder what team is up, Kiba says, and Naruto scoffs. Wanking Kakashi-sensei for jutsu, Naruto says. Kurenai, Tenten and Hinata gasp, but Anko and Kiba laugh. Ha 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 ha. He probably is, he shouts. Kiba Kurenai admonishes and turns to Naruto. You shouldn't speak like that, she adds. Naruto rubs the back of his head. Sorry Kurenai-sensei, he says. It's not that bad, Nani. He wants everything given to him, Anko comments. Regardless. You should be focused on your opponents, Kurenai states, and both nod. Your opponent is an unknown to you, Naruto-kun. Do you have strategy, Shizune comments, but Naruto shrugs his shoulders. He defeated Shino too quickly, but he is related to Kisame Hashigaki, but I welcome the challenge. Shizuma harmed one of our own. Same as Gaara. They need to be taught proper respect, Naruto says, and Anko titters. On Naruto, we got that thing to do, Anko says. Right. Shizune can tell Karen. I'll be coming to see her after we take care of something, Naruto says, and Shizune nods. I'll take Kurashiro to the shop, Tenten says, picking up the puppy. That's fine. We'll pick her up after we finish and take her to meet Karen, Naruto says, as Anko grabs his shoulder and vanish with Love Shunshin. The pair reappear in a large clearing in the Forest of Death. Alright. You ready, Naruto asks. Anko nods and Naruto releases her seal. Yeah, she says, pulling her sword out of the seal on her right hand. Naruto beckons her forward and Anko draws her wakizashi with a leap and downward strike. Naruto blocks with his forearm and her blade scrapes on it, but she's sent flying back by a burst of his Ryatsu. It's like cutting steel, Anko thought, and shoots forward, but Naruto grabs the blade, tossing her. Anko channels her Ryatsu to her feet and slides on the air with a stream of smoke before landing with a stutter step. In a contest of Ryatsu, the stronger will win out. So to me it felt a dull knife, Naruto says. So until my Ryatsu matches yours. It will be like striking you with a paper sword, Anko says, and Naruto nods. Naruto unseals Zetsue and drives her into the ground. Now for Jinzan, he says, and Anko groans before making a cage bunshin. Keep working on the chakra exercises, Anko says, and the clone nods. She drives her sword next to Zetsue and takes a seat next to Naruto. How long did it take you to commune with Zetsue, Anko asks, her eyes closed. Ayaniki forced a fight between us and I gained my Shikai and Bankai. Later we fought again and I gained my true power, Naruto explains. Anko opens an eye. Could I do the same, she asks, but Naruto shakes his head. You could and could die too. Your Shikai will come. It sometimes responds to a need. Not a desire, Naruto says, and Anko tsks. Silence soon reigns as Anko communes with her sword but open an eye to see Naruto balancing on the hilt of his sword. You shouldn't worry so much. My name will come to you soon. Let it come like blossoming flowers or a butterfly coming from their cocoon, her sword says, and Anko sighs. So do you think Hinata will confess to you soon, Anko asks. Naruto opens his eyes as he balances. I don't know, but she's more comfortable around me, he says. Well, she should, Anko says and grins. I am confident in my duality. So I could sim Yuri action from her too, she adds. Naruto groans and flips to his feet with a loud sniff, causing Anko to giggle. You don't mind sharing me with 2 other women? Possibly more, Naruto says. Anko gets to her feet and approaches Naruto. You saw me at my worst and freed me from that bastard. I know I hold a place in your heart. So is head lover. I allow you to have other women, she says. Naruto pulls Anko into a tight hug. Then I need to become a Chunin to let Anshin play, he says, and Anko giggles. Indeed, Anshin wants to feel Naruto, Anko says, squeezing his butt and causing their spirits to giggle. I'm going ahead to see Karen. You wanna come, Naruto says. Nah, have fun with your little cousin. I'll go pick up Kurashiro from Panda, Anko says, vanishing with Shunshin, and Naruto soon follows suit. Senju compound. Things must be better here than in Kusa, Naruto asks, sitting across from Karen. The Redeed adjusts her glasses with a nod, very much so. Tsunade-sama and Shizune-san even healed all my bite marks, she says. Well, that's good news, Naruto says, after drinking some tea. Karen looks to Naruto's scar with a sip of her own tea. Will you have Tsunade-sama remove that scar, she asks, and Naruto touches his scar but shakes his head, confusing her. No. This is a reminder for me and for the people of Konoha. As I grow stronger, they can witness the child they marked as the most powerful ninja they have, Naruto says. Karen slowly nods and takes another of her tea, but Naruto comes around to sit next to her. You can touch it if you like, he says. Karen places her cup down and slowly moves her fingers to touch the Chelsea scar. Do you want to know how I got it, Naruto asks, and Karen nods. I would like to know more as well, Shizune says, walking in with taunton. Naruto runs his fingers through his blonde hair. When I was younger. To hide my pain I smiled a lot and that infuriated people. How dare the source of our pain walk without a care in the world, he starts and pauses, both see the emotions in his eyes. When I was 9. They broke and led by some Jinin. He had then beat me up. While he superheated a kunai, Naruto continues, but a scowl forms. Then carved this into my face. I woke in the hospital with Anko and Tenten at my bedside. Gigi was there and he placated. Telling me the same story about things will change. The only thing that changed was that Jinin be executed. The others were released and allowed to continue hating me, Naruto finishes. Hopefully when mother becomes Hokage. Things will change and for the better, Shizune says. One can only hope, Naruto muses, but looks at Shizune's appearance. Is that eye special, he asks, but Shizune shakes her head, picking up Taunton. No, I was just born with heterochromia, Shizune replies, and Taunton oinks. Naruto reaches for his teacup. Oh. Thought it gave you some special power. That's cool, he says, but snaps his fingers. Oh. Can you ask your mother if she has anything from her grandmother? I'm studying Genjutsu and I want to learn more. I can even bring Kurashiro to play with, Taunton, Naruto says. Buhi. Buhi, Taunton says. Buhi. Buhi, Naruto says, causing Karen to giggle and Shizune to do so as well. Of course. We're family after all, Shizune says, and Naruto smiles, with a small nod. Achknin exam arena. Naruto stood with the remaining 12 genin, or rather 10, as Dosa was dead and Sasuke has yet to arrive. Naruto is now wearing dark blue cargo pants, tucked into knee-length boots. A sleeveless black uniform jacket with an orange zipper and buttons on the waist, black gloves with a violet palm. Hayate was in front of them, but another proctor was next to him, a senbon in his mouth. He wears the standard Konoha uniform with brown, shoulder-length hair and brown eyes with his Hidate like a bandana. In the cage viewing box were Hiruzen and the Yondaime Kazuki Ajirasa, both wearing white robes and hats with their respective colors of red and blue. It's a shame the Mizukage decided to sit with the Daimon, Rasa says, his face hidden by his hat and veil, but his eyes narrow as Tsunade approaches. It is a shame, but that is her choice, Hiruzen says, and Tsunade leans down to whisper something. Hiruzen nods and rises from his seat. I would like to welcome everyone from civilians to Daimon to the third stage of the Chunin exams. Down below are ninja who have put their blood, sweat, tears and lives on the line to make this way. Watch them fight and cheer their accomplishments, he starts, adding chakra to his voice. And if I may speak for the cage in attendance. Let the Chunin finals begin, Hiruzen adds, and many cheer. Hayate clears his throat to get the genin's attention. For this round. The matches will go until the other can't compete or forfeits. Genma and I will be watching from both sides. Killing is still in effect but frowned upon, he states. Hayate's right. Go all out on your opponent but try not to kill them. Also it seems Dosu Kanuta has dropped out. So Kankurum no Sabaku receives a pass to the next round. So the first match of the finals is Hinata Hyuga vs Niji Hyuga, Genma adds. Naruto taps Hinata on the shoulder and gives her a thumbs up as Niji glares at them both. Hinata slaps her cheeks to get herself ready. Watch me, Naruto-kun, as the lioness comes forth, she thought. Withdraw, Hinata-sama. You cannot defeat me as you are, Niji says, as Hayate begins the match. Nejanaisen. I will show I am stronger than you think, Hinata starts and activates her Byakugan. In the stands, Hiashi and Hanabi watch with calculated gazes. Watch closely, Hanabi, he says, and Hanabi nods. Nasama, can you win, Hanabi thought. Hinata and Niji slip into their Jiken stances as the tension starts to rise. You cannot escape fate, Niji says, making the first move. He closed the gap between them with a strike, but Hinata parries and counters with her own. However, each knew the other's Jiken, and it devolves into a barrage strikes and parries as 3 minutes pass, but Hinata sees an opening and takes it. Niji backsteps to avoid the strike and breaks the stalemate, as many in the crowd cheer. In the stands, Naruto was sitting with Ino, Shikamaru, Kiba and Shinji. She's holding her own, Kiba says. For now it seems. Niji is a former rookie of the year and has a year more of experience, Shikamaru comments. Hinata has trained with Shizune-san, Kurane-sensei and Sanada-sama. That should count for something, Ino says, and Naruto keeps his eyes on the match. She's doing well. If she can get him to slip up. She can win this, but that's easier said than done, Naruto thought. Music Yusei to Koku last moment. Wisps of chakra explode as Hinata and Niji trade blows. He's closed some of my Tenketsu, but Sanada-sama's training is helping, Hinata thought. Why do you continue to persist? You are a failure. You cannot defeat me, Niji shouts, going for a wide strike, but Hinata weaves away, moving like water. I can persist because I am not a failure. I have grown and I have changed. I will not be shackled by your so-called destiny, Hinata counters and weaves several signs. Suiton Tepndama, Hinata thought, spewing several water balls and shocking some. Niji lowers his stance and turns on a heel. Kaiten, he shouts, deflecting the water blasts. Hiashi's eyes widen and flicker. He knows a main house technique, he thought. Father, that is a main house skill and Hinata-sama used ninjutsu, Hanabi says. Hiashi cups his chin in thought, indeed both have been keeping secrets he says. Niji comes to a halt as Hinata stood motionless. I will end this now he says, shifting his stance. Impossible he even knows that Hiashi thought. Hinata reins in her breath and raises a half ramson, it's time I show how far I have come she thought. Haki Rakujkin SHM Niji shouts, rushing forward. Shuga Haki Rakujkin SHM Hinata thought, matching Niji. Hiashi's eyes widen once again as his daughter unveiled a new jutsu, but it reminded him of someone else, causing tears to form in his eyes. Itomi Hiashi thought. Hinata stood the course of Niji's assault, but she could feel several of his strikes getting through her defense. Endure Hinata thought, flying back with a skid as Niji's attack ends. Niji steadies his breath, but his eyes were slightly wide, how? She blocked nearly all of my attacks he thought. What was that Niji says. Hinata wipes a bit of blood from her lip, while the Haki Rakujkin SHM is strictly offense. This is Shuga Haki Rakujkin SHM is about defense. Because of my flexible body I was able to use it. It flows like water she says and lowers her stance, clenches her fists at her side. You may think that you have proven that failures can change, but it is false. Fate cannot be changed Niji shouts. Blue chakra engulfs Hinata's hands as she grits her teeth, no Nejiniasan. Fate is what we make of it she shouts, as small guardian lion heads engulf her hands and forearm. Hiashi nearly bolts up in his seat, how? How did she learn such a technique he thought. Father what is that style Hanabi says, but Hiashi remains silent. In the stands Naruto smirks as his fellow genin were shocked, now it's over. Hinata. You've won he thought. Hinata spreads her arms and shoots forward, but Niji meets her with several strikes, however Niji notices his chakra being depleted. Hinata pushes forward and moves through Niji's guard, I need to end this now. Kosumshika Nakatsu she shouts, slamming her fist into Niji's gut. Chakra pressure blasts out of Niji as he flies back with 2 hops, I am possible he says, passing out. Hinata falls to her knees with deep breaths as Genma checks Niji, Niji Haika is unable to continue. Winner Hinata Haika he declares and the crowd loudly cheers. Music ends. The Sama won Hanabi says, clapping. Hiashi wipes a few tears away, she did Hanabi he says, and glances to Niji, Niji it's time you learn the truth about Hisashi he thought. In another part of the arena where Team Guy, she did it. She beat Niji Tenten says. Lee clutches his crutch, Hinata-san has proven her youth he says. I pats his mini-me with a good guy smile, indeed she did Lee, and I feel this will steer Niji on a new path he says, and Tenten quickly averts her eyes. Woo. Go Hinata. You got it girl Ino shouts. Ha. She'll lose to Sasuke-kun Sakura says, walking up. He has to actually be here to do that Naruto comments. Sakura scoffs and walks off as Ino softly laughs, that shut her up she says. Sakura and Sasuke are a thing Naruto asks and Ino's eyes flicker. According to forehead. I've seen them together the past few months and Sasuke seems to care about her. However it has swelled Sakura's head, but I'm worried. I have this feeling Sasuke is using her. I don't Ino explains and Naruto was about to retort. The next match is Naruto Uzumaki vs Shizuma Hoshigaki Genma declares. Naruto sighs and rises to his feet, game on he thought. Good luck Naruto Ino says. Pick his .for Shino Kiba shouts and Akamaru barks. Naruto nods and walks down steps, up the railing and down the wall towards the arena grounds. Shizuma appears via Watershunshin with a confident look and a faint smile on his face. I'm curious about how did you get that scar? It's like 2 different sides Shizuma states. Naruto slowly touches his Chelsea scar, I guess you could say that. Like 2 people in one body he says. Shizuma draws his Samakiba with a smirk on his face, will do entertain me he says. Naruto slips into a Batajutsu stance as Hate raises his hand, but he could feel the Kai starting to be released. Hajime Hate shouts. In the stands Anko was with Kurenai and Hana, here we go Anko says. Yeah people are in for a rude awakening Hana comments. Anko smirks softly as her spirit giggles, he is quite skilled is he she asks. Why aren't they moving a certain voice shouts, causing the 3 Kunoichi and Spirit to sigh. In another part of the arena Haku was watching with Bunten, he won't defeat Shizuma. His Samakiba is too powerful Bunten says. Naruto-kun is not someone to be taken lightly. You fraud him Bunten Haku says, but Bunten scoffs. I would agree with Haku. The kid's not normal's abusive comments, causing Bunten to snort. It doesn't matter. He can't beat Shizuma Bunten says. We'll see Gaki. We will see his abusive comments. Music Hiragamagori's theme Kill a Kill Ost. Shizuma and Naruto slow circle each other as their Kai leaks from them, but Shizuma shoots forward with an overhead strike. Naruto draws Zetsue to block Shizuma's strike with a loud clang and several sparks as both push on their swords and the loose earth creates a small rut. Naruto grabs his sheath with his left and swings toward Shizuma, but he back jumps. A double Ido with a sheath Shizuma thought and shoots forward. Naruto tosses his sheath and meets Shizuma with a barrage of strikes before Naruto ducks under a wide swing. Naruto palms Zetsue's hilt and thrusts up through Shizuma's head, but he melts into water. Suiton Sukendan no Jutsu, Shizuma shouts, firing a large shark. Naruto back jumps as the shark slams into the ground and creates a large puddle, but Shizuma slams his hand. Suiton Mizusapeku, Shizuma shouts. Naruto as water spikes pierce his body from all sides, but he pops into smoke. Shizuma quickly whips around to block Naruto's wide strike and sends the Kiri shinobi back. You are very skilled, but I want more, Shizuma shouts, gill marks now around his eyes. Naruto shifts into a Gatatsu stance and launches forward, but Shizuma counters with a water wave, forcing Naruto to cut it down. Shizuma meets Naruto with chopping one-hand strike, but Naruto counters with upward one-hand strike. Same here, Naruto says, their swords scraping against on another. Shizuma's mouth widens into a shark-like grin as their swords clash with scrapes forming in the ground. Naruto breaks the clash with upward strike and Shizuma skids back, but water starts to swirl around his blade as Naruto leaps for a downward Gatatsu. Suiton Surin no Jutsu, Shizuma shouts, thrusting forward. Naruto gets Zetsue up to block the surge of water but is thrown back and Shizuma is weaving more signs. Suiton Dakendan no Jutsu, Shizuma shouts, forming a large shark. It slams into Naruto, clamping down and driving him into the ground with a heavy crash of water. Naruto lays motionless in a crater as the water recedes, causing Shizuma to laugh with a smirk on his face. Music ends. Naruto-kun, 3 girls shout. Those that despise Naruto's existence were cheering, seeing the bleeding gashes on the blonde's body. Told you, Haku. Shizuma was too strong for him, Bunton says, but Haku shakes her head. Don't count Naruto-kun out just yet, Haku says. In another part of the arena, Hinata was concerned but held firm. No, Naruto wouldn't give up. In the cage booth, Hiruzen keeps his face blank, but he was concerned for Naruto. However, the disguised Orochimaru knew something was afoot. You must be toying with him, Tenten thought. Naruto, get up, Kiba shouts. Mendaki-say. Naruto setting the bar high, Shikamaru comments, but Ino slaps him in the head. How is that, Ino shouts. Shikamaru sighs and rubs his head with a mutter of Mendaki-say, because Naruto is playing possum, he whispers. Take that, Naruto, Baka, a voice shouts, making Kunoichi angry. With the Jinin, Asuma taps his ashes and takes another drag on his cigarette. Naruto was taken down, he says. I doubt that, Asuma. Naruto-kun is not an ordinary genin. Same as Shizuma, the fight is not over, Kurenai says. He's right, Naruto-kun's youth has not burned out, Guy shouts. Kurenai glances to her surrogate little sister. Naruto is indeed not a normal, she thought. Music Fixed Day, Baki Os 2018. How long are you gonna play dead, Kurama comments. Naruto's eyes shot open and he kips up, sorry, I was thinking. I wanted to give him one free one, he thought. That was impressive set of ninjutsu and kinjutsu, Shizuma. A lesser opponent would surely have fallen, Naruto says, unzipping his shirt as the wounds heal before Shizuma's eyes. Naruto summons Zetsue to his right and points the tip into his left. Many gasp as the sword enters his hand. Let's put an end to this. Shizuma, Naruto says, holding his hand over the left side of his face. The other half wants to play, Naruto adds, smirking, and Shizuma starts to laugh. Hahaha. You are indeed strong, Naruto Uzumaki. You have confirmed for that you fought Zabuza-sensei, Shizuma says, and unleashes more of his kai, since you heal so quickly. I can cut you so much more, he adds. Shizuma shunshin towards Naruto with Samakiba poised, stab the blonde, but only pierces Naruto's shirt. Danger senses went off in Shizuma's head and gets up a block as a left hook rocks him with a skid. Blows Shizuma but gasps as his eyes blur and his legs give out. Impossible. He knocked Shizuma down with a punch through his guard, Bunton shouts. Naruto tilts his head as Shizuma gets to feet with a wobble, but he laughs before shooting forward with a flurry of thrusts. Naruto backsteps and dodges the thrusts, but cracks Shizuma with several snap jabs, staggering him, but he swings wide. Naruto brushes the blade aside and connects with a body blow into a roundhouse kick and sending Shizuma back with 2 hops. Shizuma gets to his feet and spits some blood as Naruto bounces on his toes. Hahaha. You continue to amaze me. I'll have to pull out all the stops, Shizuma says and bites his thumb. My Samakiba was made from the scales of Samahata. It can absorb chakra, but it cuts deeper and can do this, Shizuma shouts, running the blood on the blade. The sword chitters as the scales slowly moves up his right arm, his body starts bulk up and rips his Jinbei Ori. Impossible. He pushed Shizuma that far, Bunton shouts. Shizuma cackles as his body become more shark-like, his face gaining a snout with pronounced fangs and wide mouth with fish-like eyes. Now Naruto Uzumaki. Time to hunt my prey, Shizuma shouts, launching forward. Naruto quickly puts a cross-arm block as Shizuma slams a right straight, cutting up his gloves and arms. That's just prime. Not only is he bigger but faster too, Naruto thought, backstepping. Shizuma closes the gap, but Naruto bum rushes into him, into several body blows and swing dodges to Shizuma's wild swings. His taijutsu is impressive. Naruto-kun is quite skilled, but I do not recognize the stances Guy comments. He calls it a mixed style. A combination of several taijutsu styles Kurenai explains and Guy smiles. Then Lee has found a perfect rival, Guy shouts. Shizuma roars as he swings a wide right, but time seems to slow as it cuts open Naruto's cheek. However, Shizuma's head snaps back and he staggers back, falling to one knee and his eyes wide and flickering. Cross counter. I send you power right back at you, Naruto says and clutches his left forearm with his right. That counter should give me enough time. You'll have to forgive me, but it's still a bit unstable, Naruto adds. Shizuma struggles his feet but his breath hitches, seeing a swirling mass of chakra between Naruto's left hand. The blonde shoots forward and closes the gap between them, Rasengan, Naruto thought, thrusting his hand forward. The swirl orb slams into Shizuma and increases slightly in size, sending him flying back and his Zamakiba separating from him as he crashes into the ground. Hayate makes his way to Shizuma Hoshigaki is unable to continue. Winner Naruto Uzumaki, he declares, to a stunned crowd. Music ends. He used a signature of the Yondaime Genma, thought, as many were thinking the same. Hiruzen lowers his hat with a nostalgic look on his face, it's like watching a young Minato, he thought. Naruto picks up his shirt and slips it back on as people were cheering, but many more were in disbelief. These people are gonna wake up from their delusions, Etsue says, but Naruto scoffs. Mednon come to collect Shizuma as Naruto makes his way to medical himself, but meets Anko and Tenten along the way. Another step, Anko chirps, leaping into him and wrapping her legs around his waist. Nice match, Tenten says. Naruto strolls towards medical with Anko latched to him. I hope you haven't forgotten the prank to come, he says, and Anko freezes. Anshin is swearing Narikan, Anko cries, peppering his face with kisses, and Naruto rubs her back. She should be, Tenten says, and Anko sticks out her tongue. So Panda when Narikan becomes Chiknin. You getting in on the action, Anko says and Tenten blushes. I don't think she wants her first time in a threesome, Naruto says, letting Anko down. That shouldn't matter. She love you as much as me. So why wait, Anko says, and gives Tenten a cheeky grin, besides. She couldn't keep her eyes off my girls when we were at the hot spring, she adds, and Tenten blushes more. Atamari vs Shikamaru Cannon. The next match is Sasuke Uchiha vs Gaara, no Sabaku Genma announces. Gaara appears via Shunshin, but Sasuke has yet to arrive. 5 minutes pass, then 10 minutes and another 15 minutes pass as the crowd grows restless. Genma appears next to Hiruzen. What shall we do, Hikage-sama, he asks. We'll have to disqualify Sasuke, Hiruzen says. Forgive me, Sandai Misama, but many of the guests, myself included, wish to see the last Uchiha in battle. Perhaps we can move his mattress, Orochimaru says. Hiruzen leans back in his chair but sighs, that will be acceptable, but Sasuke will lose his chance to become a Chunin. If he can't be on time for these exam. It will look bad on Konoha, he says, and Genma nods, vanishing. There has been a change to the matches. The match between Sasuke Uchiha and Gaara no Sabaku will be postponed. So the next match is Ino Yamanaka vs Haku Mamachi, Hay declares. Good luck, Ino, Shikamaru says. Ino sighs and makes her way to the arena as Haku arrives via ice flurries. Meanwhile, in another part of the stadium, Naruto sheathes Etsue. Yami will attach himself to the old man. The other 5 will deal with outside, he says. When will it happen, Anko asks, securing her sword to her hip. Naruto ruffles his hair with a sigh as they make their way to the crowd area. Gaara's match, he says. I'll head back to Gai-sensei, Tenten says, and break off from them. They reach the crowd as a swirl of leaves fill the arena floor, revealing Sasuke and Kakashi back to back. Yo, Naruto. Team finally arrived, Kiba shouts, but Naruto furrows his brow. Mandaki-say. Sasuke's match was switched with Ino's match, Shikamaru explains. How did Blondie do, Anko inquires. She put up a good front, but Haku was too strong for her, Shikamaru replies, as Naruto takes seat. I've got duties. Catch you later, Anko says and shunshins away. Kiba then taps Naruto on the shoulder with a lecherous grin, so something going on between you? Tenten and that babe, he asks, but Naruto ignores him. The final match of the first round begins, Genma declares. Sasuke and Gaara stare each other down, with both having smirks on their faces. Slowly sand emerges from Gaara's gourd as he starts to mutter to himself. Sasuke makes the first move and rushes forward, but Gaara's sand meets him, forcing Sasuke to dodge skyward. The sand forms a copy of Gaara as Sasuke fires several shuriken, but the clone blocks. Sasuke lands and closes the gap with a back fist to the clone, but the clone engulfs his arm, forcing Sasuke to slam a palm strike and knocking off the head. Sasuke moves closer to Gaara, but the Uchiha smirks and vanishes, shocking Gaara, Lee and many others. So he managed to replicate Lee's movements to counter Gaara's sand armor. Kakashi-sensei must have put him through hell to do it. But if he doesn't have stamina, It won't last, Naruto thought, watching Sasuke to pick Gaara apart. "Yeah. Take him down," Sasuke-kun, Sakura screeches. Sasuke reins in his breath as Gaara glares at him, his sand armor cracking, but the red head makes a ramson and causes his sand to surround him. Sasuke shoots forward as the sand coalesces, connecting with a punch, but quickly back jumps as spears of sand bursts forth. "He's up to something," Kurama comments, and Naruto tilts his head. "I can sense Shukaku's chakra building up. Perhaps they wish to unleash him in the stadium," she adds. Naruto's eyes widen. Sasuke quickly attacks the sand orb from all sides, but the sand reacts and attacks him. "A decent defense, but it will fall to me," Sasuke thought, and sprints towards the wall, but stops halfway. Sasuke lowers his stance and unclips the wrap around his bandaged arm, focusing his chakra, and lightning starts to form. Sasuke rushes down the wall as his arm screeches with chakra. "What the hell is that?" Kiba shouts. Naruto narrows his eyes as Sasuke rushes towards Gaara's sand orb. "I wonder where he learned that. Kakashi-sensei perhaps," he thought. Blue odd. "It's my blue odd," Gaara howls, shaking Naruto from his thoughts. Naruto shoots up in his seat as Sasuke back jumps and a large claw-like arm emerges to attack. "Shukaku's coming forth," Kurama shouts. Suddenly feathers rain down, causing people to collapse, and the cage booth explodes. Suna and Odo Ninja reveal themselves as Temari and Kankram rush to the arena floor. The Sand sibling quickly take Gaara as Baki fights Hayate and Genma, but Sasuke gives chase. Naruto rushes down the steps towards as several Odo get in his path, but Kakashi appears as they take them down. "Naruto. I'm giving you a rank mission. Sasuke and Sakura have gone after Gaara. I need you to go after them. You can bring anyone with you," Kakashi says, and Naruto nods. "Right. Oi Shikamaru. Get off your and come with me," Naruto shouts, and Shikamaru begrudgingly gets to his feet. Naruto makes a cross sign as he leaps off the railing. "Taju Kage Bunshin no Jutsu," he says, creating numerous clones. "You know what to do. Show these people what their demon can do," Naruto shouts, and the clones, leaping off. Shikamaru lands next to him. "So how we do this," he says. "We catch up and defend," Naruto says, and they leap off. Cage booth. Hiruzen stares at his former student as Orochimaru titters. "It's a shame Konoha falls this day," Orochimaru says. "The great tree will not fall this day. My wayward student. We knew of your plans and prepared," Hiruzen declares. Orochimaru cackles softly with sinister grin on his face. "Even if you knew, sensei. It will not save you," he sneers, quickly weaving signs and slams his hands together. "Fuchiyusido tensei," Orochimaru shouts, and Hiruzen gasps, quickly using his cage shuriken, but two coffins rise from the tiles. The lids fall and clatter to reveal the first two Hokage. "I can't believe he perfected the jutsu and summoned them," Hiruzen thought. The Shadame and Nidame step out of the coffins. "It's been too long," Sarutobi Hashirama says. "Saru. You've grown old," Tobirama says. Orochimaru comes up behind them and places the control kunai into their heads, rejuvenating them as tears run down Hiruzen's face. "Now then, sensei. Feel free to die at their hands," Orochimaru says, and the first two Hokage spring into action. However, the Snake Sannin doesn't notice that the special summons he gave to Suna weren't activated, and this would cost him. Naruto races through the forest after Shikamaru falls back to deal with their pursuers. The boys dealt with the summon, and Urasenin has arrived. The counter-attack should commence soon, he thought, sensing battles ahead of them. "I can sense Shukaku's foul aura ahead. Even that ice boy is nearby," Kurama says. Naruto unseals Zetsue from his glove, "Then let's hunt a Tanuki," he says, picking up his speed. At the same time, Sasuke struggles to stay standing as Gaara is partially covered by sand with a maniacal look on his face. Sasuke-kun, Sakura shouts, tossing several explosive note kunai. Gaara blocks with his enlarged arm, but they explode, sending him back several feet. "Another to slaughter," Gaara howls. Sakura helps Sasuke to his feet. "Sasuke-kun, we should escape. He's dangerous," she says. "I won't run away," Sasuke shouts. Gaara cackles as he picks himself up. "Ha. Run or fight. You die either way," he howls, launching forward. However, a pair of boots slam into his face and sends Gaara through a tree as Naruto lands in front of Sasuke and Sakura. Sasuke shouts, clutching his neck. Naruto glances back with a blank look on his face. "Team," he simply says. "Ha. Uzumaki. I've been waiting for you. I knew you would come," Gaara shouts. Naruto rests Zetsue on his shoulder with a serious look on his face. "Take Sasuke and go, Sakura," he says. "I'm not leaving," Sasuke shouts, but Naruto releases his kai. "Now team. When we start fighting. I can't guarantee you two won't be dragged in. Now go," Naruto shouts. Sasuke clutches his curse mark with a glare. "No, I am Ichiha. I will not run from battle," he shouts. "The Enarabaka. Sasuke-kun doesn't need to run," Sakura shouts. Naruto shakes his head and lowers his stance before launching forward and shattering the tree branch. "Suit yourself," Naruto says. Gaara swings one of his Shukaku arms, but Naruto cuts it off, slamming into the partially transformed Jinchuriki and knocking them through several trees. He's fast and strong, Temari thought, from her hiding spot. Gaara roars as more of Shukaku comes out, flinging his tail at Naruto, but the blonde dodges. Rag. Sand shuriken, Gaara roars. Naruto dodges as it cuts down several trees and rushes forward, unleashing his quicksword on Gaara and pushing him towards a clearing. Gaara halts himself between two branches. Attack me seriously, Uzumaki. Why do you hold back, he howls. Naruto shoots forward and mutters an incantation, Hadam.63 Reikm he recites. Gaara dodges as a yellow blast engulfs him and sends him into the clearing with several hops. Naruto lands in the clearing with slitted red eyes and his whiskers thicker. Stand up, Gaara. This is a poor showing for you, he says, gaining a smirk on his face. Gaara rises to his feet with a look of rage as Shukaku covers nearly all his body. Suddenly several mouths form on his body. Ton Yujin Sajin atop of Gaara roars, firing a large blast of wind and sand. Naruto quickly tosses up Zetsue and weaves several signs to Snake. Ton atop it, he thought, countering Gaara's wind with his own. Sasuke and Sakura reach the edge of the clearing as the blasts collide, forcing them to take cover. Sasuke-kun, what was that, Sakura says. Sasuke clenches his fist with a look of anger. How can the dope be this strong, he thought. Naruto catches Zetsue and launches forward with Shukuchi and creates several clones before slashing up Gaara, and the clones weave signs to ram. Raiden Reikik, the clones shout, blasting Gaara from all sides. Gaara roars in pain, but his sand explodes, destroying the clones and sending Naruto back towards the forest edge. A massive amount of sand and debris erupt into the clearing and slowly reveals a looming shadow. Shukaku has nearly taken over, but that brat might cede control to him, Kurama says, and Naruto chuckles. Then I may get to face some real fun, Naruto thought. The debris cloud slowly dissipates to reveal a large sandabrin-colored tanuki with dark blue cursed seal markings all over its face, body, and tail. It has a jagged concave mouth with no tongue with black sclera and golden eyes. What the hell is that, Sasuke shouts. Temari hugs herself in fear with wide eyes. Oh no. The sand demon is free. We're doomed, she thought. Gaara emerges partially from the beast's head with a wild cackle. Uzumaki. I didn't think you'd bring this out of me, he howls. Gaara sends a large ball of sand at Naruto, but he dodges and lands on the ground, rushing toward the large tanuki. Sand tsunami, Gaara roars, bringing forth a wave of sand. Naruto creates numerous clones to launch him higher and higher. I may need to fight size with size, he thought, but as Shukaku's massive fist slams into him. Naruto feels the air knocked out of him, but the massive hand grabs him. I'll grind you into dust, Gaara howls, clenching the fist. Naruto feels the sand constricting, but smirks. Heh. Might as well, he thought, and his Reiatsu pulses. Music Bleach asked, what can you see in their eyes? Tremble. Zetsue, Naruto utters, and his Reiatsu explodes, crashing down on everyone. Sasuke-kun, what is this, Sakura shouts, but Sasuke only clenches his fists. Gaara dodges as his sand hand is cut open, along with his right shoulder. What, Gaara shouts. Naruto leaps out with a spin and bites his thumb. Kuchiyus no jutsu, he thought, and a plume of smoke appears under him. Clever, they won't see you floating, Zetsue says. Naruto lands on the head Gamaken, and they dodge a swipe from Gaara, with Zetsue now looking like a 6-foot katana with several ringlets of chains hanging from the hilt. Sorry to summon you on short notice, but I have a huge tanuki problem, Naruto shouts, add chakra to voice. It is alright, Naruto. I will help you, but I am a bit clumsy. Forgive me for asking, but is that Shukaku the sand demon, Gamaken asks. Uzumaki, you continue to amuse me, Gaara roars. Gamaken shoots forward as wind whips around Zetsue. Gamaken, do you know any Suiton jutsu, Naruto shouts. I do, Gamaken says. Then lay it on him, Naruto shouts. Gaara swipes at them, but Gamaken leaps with Inhale, Suiton Tapndamawing Dragon Dance both shout. The water blast doses Gaara and the wind slices off Gaara's giant arm, Rarghh. Bastard. I'll show you my true power, he roars. Oh no. He gonna release it. I need to escape, Temari shouts. Gaara makes a Ramsen Tanuki Nari no Jutsu, he roars. Suddenly the Tanuki rears up, woo, I am free. Ha 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 ha, Shukaku howls and sees Gamaken. Dahahaha, I hope you're ready, die, Shukaku says and expands his belly. Shton Rikuten, he adds, firing a huge wind blast. Gamaken leaps over the blast as it tears through the forest. Gamaken fires another water bullet, but Shukaku counters, drenching the area with water. Sasuke-kun, we should go, it's dangerous here, Sakura shouts. What kind of battle is this? Where did he get this power, Sasuke thought, but Sakura tugs on him and they leap away. Shton Rikuten, Shukaku roars, firing 3 blasts. Gamaken leaps and fires his Tepndama, but one Rikuten gets through, slamming into his shield. Arg. Naruto, I won't last much longer. He put a lot of chakra into them and it got through my shield, Gamaken says, landing. Naruto grips Zetsue with a smirk on his face, that's fine Gamaken. Just launch me at him and you can head home, he shouts. Don Rikuden Shukaku shouts and Gamaken counters with his water bullet. Now Gamaken Naruto shouts and Gamaken throws Naruto forward as he dispels. Naruto grips Zetsue with both hands as she starts wail with blue energy, alright Gaara. Be happy to taste the sting of my, he thought. Bergonstrick Naruto roars into a front flip. A wailing blue dragon erupts from Zetsue and blasts through Shukaku, back through his head and snapping Gaara awake. No. I just got out, Shukaku roars. Naruto uses his Reiatsu to blast him towards Gaara as the red head lands on a tree, ice dragon dance Naruto shouts, swinging wide and creating shards of ice. Gaara cries out in pain as several find the mark and sending him careening towards the ground below. Naruto drives Zetsue into a tree to stop his descent as she returns to normal, not bad Naruto. Even with most of it sealed away. Your power's a sight to behold, Kurama says. Gaara lays on his back with several cuts as Naruto approaches with Zetsue dragging along the ground. Music predicament Naruto asked. How can he be so powerful? Two won't be erased, Gaara thought, getting to his feet. I will not let you erase me, Gaara shouts, rushing Naruto. The blonde lets go of Zetsue to block the punch and counters with his own, knocking Gaara back. Wake up. I used to have two eyes like yours. The eyes of someone hated for something of their control. However, I changed. I gained others. Others who care for me. Others I'm willing to lay my life down for, Naruto says. Why? How does having others make you strong? Why fight for someone other than self, Gaara says, his eyes flickering. Naruto slams his fist on his chest, because they saved me from my darkness. They acknowledge me. They are my precious people, he says. Having people to care for. Is that the key to his strength, Gaara thought. Suddenly Sasuke, Sakura and shockingly Haku land behind Naruto, while Kankuram and Temari land in front of Gaara. Naruto-kun, are you okay, Haku says and Naruto nods, keeping his eyes on the Sant trio. Temari. Kankuram. It's over, I lost this day, Gaara says, shocking his siblings. What, Gaara conceded a battle, Kankuram thought, and helps Gaara up with Temari's help and they leap off. We should go after them, Sakura interjects. Naruto slowly sheathes Zetsue, no, it's over. His fighting spirit is diminished, he says, but Sasuke grabs his shirt. Oh, where did you get your power? Tell me, Sasuke shouts. Naruto pushes Sasuke with a blank look on his face, I don't have to tell you anything. Now let's head back to the village, he says, walking off with Haku. Kurigakure decided to aid us, Naruto asks. This isn't over, Dobe, Sasuke shouts, but both ignore him. Yes. Misama felt it best. A way to get Konoha to owe us, Haku says, as they leap off. Smart woman, Kurama says and Naruto chuckles. Music ends. Hiruzen vs Orochimaru, Hashirama and Tobirama. Hiruzen finds himself in dire straits, his trusty Enma in his hand and a large forest surrounding him thanks to Hashirama. Hiruzen. We'll need to seal them, Enma says, and Hiruzen's eyes darken. Yes. I did not wish to use this jutsu, but I must for Konoha to survive, Hiruzen says and makes a cross sign. Prepare for your end, Sensei, Orochimaru shouts as the cage launch themselves at Hiruzen but slam into an invisible wall. What, Orochimaru shouts. Hiruzen looks down as his shadow was growing, Sora. Jesu. I would have intervened sooner but too many eyes. However, luckily these trees are Hera. Jesu, a very familiar voice says. Naruto, Hiruzen shouts. The shadow forms into Naruto with his hair slicked back, sorry Jiji, but I am a clone named Yamai. Jesu. A very special clone sent to protect you when things got dear. Jesu, he says. Orochimaru grits his teeth in rage, but his face slips into a cocky look, Kukuku. You think you can make a difference, he sneers. Didn't the original clap you in the forest? Jesu. Then told your spy Kabuto that the only reason this invasion happened because he allowed it. Jesu, Yami says. What? Naruto knew about this, Hiruzen shouts, and Yami rubs the back of his head. Sorry Jiji, but the original will have to explain, but the simple answer. Jesu. Is he saved Hayate and fought Petamaru in the forest to save Anshin. He also sent clones to deal with the forces outside the wall. Jesu, Yami explains. This strapling is quite calculating, Hashirama comments. Indeed, a ninja. He would make a decent cage, Tobirama says, and Yami lights up. Thank you, Nadama-sama. Sorry I must harm you. Jesu, Yami says, but Hashirama laughs. You are freeing us from this young one, but tell us your name, Tobirama states. My original is named Naruto Uzumaki, Yami says, and both cage furrow their brow, but their eyes widen as Yami flares his Reiatsu. Orochimaru's breath hitches but it slips into rage, kill him here Ors. Yami lowers his stance and clenches his fists before blinking in front of both cage. Bikatsu. Jesu, Yami utters, obliterating the upper half of both cage. Hiruzen and Orochimaru's eyes were wide, but Yami wasn't done. Akadm. 63 Sajam Sabaku, Yami recites, creating a yellow chain. The chain wraps around the reforming cage and pulling them together before blinking in front of them and placing both fists on them. Rest in peace. Jesu. Some Katsuyami utters, completely wiping out both cage. Naruto look out, Hiruzen shouts. Yami turns as Orochimaru brings his kusanagi to cut off his head, but the blade only scrapes on Yami's neck. Impossible, Orochimaru shouts. By Akira, Yami says, blowing a hole through Orochimaru's left shoulder and severing his left arm. Orochimaru back jumps, clutches his stump but calls back his kusanagi. What are you, boy, he hisses. The trees around them start to collapse, something you can't begin to fathom. You have two choice, Snake. Run like the coward you are or die like worm you are. The original showed his power and I have same. Their invasion has failed and Jiji lives. Jesu, Yami says and flares his power. I have more than power to rip this barrier down and that's not counting Kurama's Charka. Decide Snaka. Jesu, Yami adds. Orochimaru clutches his stump with a look of rage. Drop the barrier, he shouts. The barrier come down and the sound for surround Orochimaru. You will pay for this, boy, he shouts. Kill you ladder. Jesu, Yami shouts, waving. Naruto Hiruzen says and Yami turns to the Sandaime. Good thing he called my bluff. Also sorry Jiji, but my time is up. Naruto will explain everything. Jesu, Yami says and fades away. Hiruzen collapses to one knee as Enma returns to normal. That child saved your life, he says and dispels. The indeed did, Hiruzen says as Anbu rushed to him. Are you alright, Hokage-sama? After him one Anbu shouts. Hiruzen gets to his feet. I am alright. Has the counterattack begun, he asks. Yes, Hokage-sama, and the tide is turning, Badger says. Good, let us continue to defend our home and show them our will of fire, Hiruzen says and all of them shout in approval. What if Naruto finds his Naruto in the forest of death? And thanks for watching my video till the end. If you enjoy this content then do consider subscribing to my channel and leave a like if you guys need the next part. Comment down and thanks for watching the video and see you guys in the next video.